Hey there, Scion fans, and welcome to our live play of Masks of the Mythos. The newest Scion 2nd Edition supplement goes to Kickstarter next Tuesday at 2 p.m. Everyone give them some hype.
Yeah!
Only one of you make noise.
Yeah!
That's better.
I did the raise the roof.
You did.
Oh, wait, I've got it.
Do it.
Yay!
Evening has been purchased. I am Tyler, EldritchEchoes Online, and I will be your master of the macabre for this tale. We are Vorpal Tales, and we have a variety of terrifying tales and awesome adventures across many game systems that we play every day. As for other Onyx Path goodness you can enjoy with us when it's not supporting awesome soon-to-be Kickstarters, on Saturdays on our channel you can find a Deviant the Renegade story called Radiation Burns. Every Tuesday for January and February you can find us playing Masks of the Mythos right here, and then Scion Dragon run by Patty in the awesome brown hoodie. Every Friday, we play Stars Guard Lands, again run by Patty, the story he's calling Dracogenesis. And in February, on Sundays, we'll be playing Mage, the Ascension 20th Anniversary Edition, a Mythos story titled White Walls. And on Thursdays, in February, playing Werewolf the Apocalypse 20th Anniversary Edition, an as-yet untitled story, run by Dwayne, all in blue. Look us up on our website at vorpaltales.com to find our calendar, social media links, YouTube archives, links to past games, links to our other non-Onyx games, and more. Come check us out. Special thanks tonight to Astral Tabletop, who make the virtual tabletop we use for all of our games. My brother at N8Mid for crafting the custom character sheets we use in Astral, including the cool Scion sheet we're using tonight. And that you can use too if you use Astral as a virtual tabletop. And thanks to Onyx Path Publishing for yet more awesome supplements to play. Scions of the Outer Darkness, please tell the audience who you are and who your character is in this terrifying tale, starting with Sean.
Hi, I am Sean, Space Lord PJs, in PJs. I'm playing Kurt Harrison, who is a rocker boy. Different game, different system. Sort of.
No, he was made specifically for this game system.
No, I was just like Rocker Boy is the title from.
Oh, that's true. That's fair. Ever, you're next.
Me. Oh, cool. Okay. Hey, everybody. I'm Ever. My pronouns are they, them, and tonight I will be playing... Wait. I'm going to read off the whole name. Maybe. Willowwalktowwopin, which I'm probably
Well done.
butchering, but his other name is Malcolm Hodge, and his pronouns are he, him.
Hello, my name is Patrick. You can find me on the internet as PattyShakes_. And tonight I'll be playing Marius Ero, PI.
Hello, my name is Rachel, and I will be playing Lena, Mediterranean tour guide, art aficionado. That's probably a good way to describe her.
And I am Dwayne, at Made of Kimchi on the internet, and I am without hat tonight. And I will be playing Maria West, child savant.
And I am Devin, and tonight I will be playing Isaiah Baldwin, the local kid interested in past and liberal army veteran.
Excellent. Okay. Well, let's get started talking about this cool, awesome new supplement. However, first, I'm going to read everyone the introduction to the supplement, as it's very timely and applies quite heavily to using the Mythos in any modern role-playing game. So, from Scion, Masks of the Mythos versus Lovecraft. The Cthulhu Mythos and Howard Phillips Lovecraft are interchangeable in the minds of many, stemming from pop culture references and newer literature. That interchangeability is not quite right, as the mythos has expanded well beyond the man who penned his first mythos story in 1897, which sat unpublished until 1916. There is an intergalactic creation full of gods, monsters, and beings beyond any existing definition that dwell outside the realm of humanity. Some may be familiar. Phrases like outer gods, elder things, and great old ones are a bit more obscure but have found their way outside of their niche. There has been a wave of Cthulhu fandom, from Victor Laval's novella to Alan Moore's comic books to t-shirts to Cthulhu for President bumper stickers. Let's take a minute to discuss the man himself. Lovecraft, for those who don't know, was an ardent racist, anti-Semite, misogynist, and held a slew of other backward beliefs. He was so racist for his time that some of his contemporaries, of whom a few were also racist, wrote to him about being too racist and misogynistic. There is no defending the man, his beliefs, his actions, or hatreds. The core of Lovecraft's work is tied into his own beliefs under a thin layer of cosmic horror. In reality, his writing, while the foundation of this universe, represents a small percentage of Mythos writings. For all his faults, he believed in allowing others to help shape the Mythos and collaborated with other writers. He did not want the Mythos contained to one person or company and believed additional ideas made it better. However, his explicit, self-expressed racism and xenophobia shaped the world he saw in the Mythos itself. We don't intend to ignore this reality. We intend to take it back. We're not giving lip service, but informing you, the viewers and or readers, of our mission statement up front. Lovecraft's fear made him the writer he was. Masks of the Mythos builds on the world he only offered to white writers a century ago and takes the Mythos as our own. The world he created continued long past him and has been expanded on and reshaped by over 100 writers and artists, many of whom are precisely the people who would have been the target of his prejudices at the time. That's how change happens. It's not something that just occurs, it comes from people confronting it head on. The Mythos is changing with each generation to reflect the modern era and the actual diversity the world has always had, even if it was not reflected in the work. The state of the modern world has prompted some to say Lovecraft's legacy received the most fitting retribution possible. He lost. White ascendancy ended while immigration and diversity continued. The world today appears far more tolerant than his, and that would surely have made Lovecraft weep and faint like his protagonists. If the last decade in the United States has proven anything, it is that hate is alive and well and far too often living down the street from each of us. It turned from the violent, deadly force of 20s lynchings to a more invasive one of redlining and an unbalanced prison system, and now in the 2020s, a merger of terrible aspects of both. It is clearly not so much that Lovecraft's vision of the world did not triumph, but has simply shifted. Like Lovecraft, many people are afraid of losing and constantly blame the other for an impending downfall. There's been an increase in hate crimes and violent attacks against people of color, queer and trans people, and minority houses of worship. Threats and name-calling make our communities feel hostile, and the world outside seems even worse. In Masks of the Mythos, there's an attempt at making this better. Masks shines a light on this legacy of hate that extends beyond Lovecraft. It holds it up and dares it to reflect at us the worst of who we are, so we may create a mythos that reflects the world we wish to see. Every word in this book is a testament to a world full of patience, tolerance, inclusion, and most importantly, the interconnectedness that binds other to other, the hope for a better future for humanity. A future that looks as little like Lovecraft's world as we can muster, and one where he and his kind have truly lost. Thank you, Masks of the Mythos. And now, let's talk about cool game. Rachel, could you please read about the mythos, the theme, and the mood of this supplement?
The Mythos. What is the Mythos? In short, it is a loose association of alien entities beyond comprehension, and its very existence alters the world. These beings are neither gods nor titans. In Masks of the Mythos, they exist in another dimension. That otherness, that distortion, swirls around them and expresses on the divine wavelength. At first glance, it seems this mythos world has little meaning. It is full of beings, gods, and old ones that do not require worshippers, and are generally uninterested in humans, the plight of humanity, or any of its related affairs, aside from an active few. The crux of mythos stories involves regular folks encountering things beyond their ken and struggling against them, regardless of the cost, which is frequently madness. Lovecraft created a literary version of madness that is not reflective of real-world mental illness and other pain real people suffer. We've taken the root of that idea and altered it. The impact of strangeness still remains. This otherness, while not of their own doing, causes the creatures and those touched by the mythos to disrupt our universe, breaking the natural order and laws of reality. Think of it as a clash between matter and antimatter, with fewer explosions and more unpredictable side effects. This creates the ability to find meaning in everything and one's place inside it. The mythos is not an evil or enemy pantheon to be battled by bastions of the light, but rather a traveler into this dimension and these planets. Its creatures are boundless. Their Scion's otherness disrupts non-mythos Scions by destroying the very fate that fuels their actions. What makes a hero? The legend, the tales woven into history about them, or the actual acts? Mythos Scions illuminate that moral quandary. Themes. Masks of the Mythos, much like the rest of the books in the Scion series, depicts humans touched by something greater and more powerful than they are. They have been gifted, cursed, or born into a mythology waiting for them to make their own paths. While the core Scion game focuses on bonding these humans into a group and sweeping others up into their legend, Masks of the Mythos is about the otherness of power. Mood. An atmosphere of uneasiness, eeriness, and menace should loom over games that include elements of the mythos. Scions and mortals grappling with these forces walk a knife's edge between the poles of awe and fear, disruption and resistance, wonder and dread. Despite this flavor, mythos forces do not negate the heroic, mythic storytelling established in the world of Scion. Scions who are aware of mythos entities must grapple with the knowledge that humanity's niche in the universe is tenuous, a fragile moat swirling in a sea of overwhelming power. But heroism is not fearlessness. Courage does not dismiss or ignore threats. It stands against them despite fear and horror. In this way, Scions touched by the mythos have the singular opportunity to show unfathomable heroism and sacrifice in the face of unfathomable odds. They embrace the hard work of defending and thwarting and confronting threats from humans and their gods, steadfast against the weight of a perilous cosmos.
Thank you. All right. Cool new character creation changes. Quick reminder for anyone who may not know, Scion is a story path game, so it runs like they came from Blind, Trinity Continuum, Dystopia Rising, and all of the story path game system lines. There's a heavier emphasis on skills than attributes, as opposed to World and Chronicles, where it's more attribute than skill. I have that reversed. There's a more heavy focus on attributes in this than skills, as opposed to the other systems where skills come up more. So for one thing, instead of always being like strength plus athletics, you might get a lot of strength plus wits or result plus composure, mixing your attributes for rolls, for your dice pools, not just skills. It's a more streamlined system. There are less of those things and skills in the overall list. Then World of Darkness, it's about the same as Chronicles. It is still a D10 system, but much like Chronicles, it has a set difficulty number that rarely slides, and a set number that can slide of what does not explode. You count success in how many successes you need to complete an action, typically 1 to 3 from your dice pool. Difficulty sits at 8 as the most static number. Willpower is not an asset in this game. However, if you make more successes than you need to complete an action, you create a pool of almost called it the wrong thing again.
Momentum?
It's not momentum. Enhancements that you can then use to add to future rolls or to add on effects to your roll. If you're fighting and you need 1 success to punch, and you roll 3 successes, those other 2 can be used to do like a grapple maneuver or knock the guy down, disarm him, throw him. Stunts. You can use enhancements to buy stunts depending on the action you're taking. Social stunts, investigative stunts, and combat stunts. Scion specifically typically is fueled. The heroes are fueled by legend. The higher your legend rating, the more well-known you are. You must complete deeds to raise your legend. Each point of legend can then be imbued into a power or spent to fuel a power. If spent, in order to recover that legend, you must allow yourself to be weaved into the weft of fate. You must become fate-bound to a mortal. In other words, a storyteller character, and gain a fate-bound condition, and then you can restore legend you've spent. If you imbue legend, that basically means the point is dedicated to this power until this condition ends, and until that time you can't spend that point on something else. The Masks of the Mythos introduces a new fuel source also that we'll touch on here shortly. That is the base core crux of how Scion works. Your superpowers usually come in the form of, at least at the power level we're playing at, come in the form of knacks, but your inbound powers you can mostly just do. You may have to activate with a roll. And boons, which fall under your purviews, which are the things your god represents that you can manifest in the world. Boons almost always require legend to activate. Okay. Character creation is pretty close to the same of what you're going to find in Origin and Hero. Concept, path, skills, attributes, callings and knacks, purviews, birthrights, boons, and then the finishing touches. All of that is the same. But for those curious, step 5 changes a little bit. When you get to callings and knacks, you can choose the inverted form of a calling if one applies, even if they don't share that calling with their god, meaning the inverted forms you can use in any of your games, even if your Scions aren't Mythos bound. The number of starting knacks doesn't change, but you can choose any of the knacks listed, regardless of whether you pick the inverted calling. We'll hear about some of those when we get to that with each of our characters. In step 7 of creation, which is purviews, when you select your innate purview, you can choose to gain the normal innate power or the awareness innate power. Awareness is the new energy source introduced in this game. If you choose the normal power, you can replace that power with the awareness power anytime your awareness increases. Once you choose the awareness power, though, you cannot return to the innate power because now you're aware of the truth of the cosmos. Step 8 of creation, which is boons, you can choose to pick up an awareness boon as one of your starting boons, but you can only start with the one at character creation. And in step 9, finishing touches, all Mythos Scions begin play with awareness 1 in addition to legend 1. Also, this game is slightly different in other Scion games in that knockdown, drag-out fights of the older Scions. The life of a Mythos Scion involves mystery, deception, intrigue, and investigation, at times punctuated by violence, often against terrible, horrible monsters from beyond space and time. Mythos Scions frequently favor investigative, interpersonal, and social skills to complement other talents. The Story's Path system that Scion Origin uses provides plenty of awesome rules for investigative storytelling using skills and arenas, and Scion just builds on that to convey and slightly alters it to convey more of a classic mythos or Sherlockian feel to the story. Awareness as the new fuel source is probably what everyone's curious about. So Dwayne, tell us all about that.
About the awareness and mythos fate binding?
Correct.
So, awareness. The cosmic horror aspects of Masks of the Mythos should always be close at hand regardless of the investigation. Those who dwell in this world are subject to unexpected understanding of how the universe works and their place in the cosmos. This sudden awareness can occur at any time and is unsettling at best. If a Scion achieves 4 or more successes over a roll's difficulty during a Mythos investigation, he or she is granted a glimpse of a fraction of the universal truth, just a sliver of a droplet. That droplet blesses or curses the Scion with a single point of awareness. Awareness is the quality and measure of mythos influence on Scions. It also includes the Scion's distinct influence in the world, as well as the toll it takes. Awareness represents an opening of the mind and body to hidden realities that lurk just beyond human and non-mythos Scion's senses. Contact with the mythos changes people. It opens doors. It shifts one's point of view. It disrupts one's core understanding of how the universe works and humanity's place in that miasma. The disruption of the mythos is beyond labels of good or bad, of evil or righteousness. The effect is expansive. The mind can adapt to these new understandings in a range of ways, but the resulting transformation can rarely be reversed. Most mortals function better than these alien forces remain mercifully, conveniently out of view. To the unprepared, a shock of sudden revelation can take a toll on mental and emotional states. Some doors are meant to stay shut, but a few, exceptional people who encounter mythos entities can harmonize and integrate this open perspective into a new emergent understanding. Scions transcend the mundane world to reach these new levels of insight, but grasping the weight of the mythos is a one-way trip. Awareness follows mythos scions like a cloud of flies. It can disrupt the world around them in ways that are beyond the scion's control, and it can also bend to the scion's will as they grow in power. Matter, mind, relationships, and the tapestry of reality itself may transform under these alien influences. As scions deepen their awareness, they also gain the ability to channel eldritch forces through their boons and knacks. They may perform certain deeds in service to mythos forces to grow in their influence. Mechanics. For those pantheons, stories about various gods and their deeds make up the legends surrounding them. These heroes, demigods, and gods embroiled everyone near them into their fates as they express their legend. The mythos has a similar pervasiveness, but it works a bit differently. The mythos itself is its own set of myths and legends, one that subsumes the bearer and embroils them into its own fate. So instead of a scion binding people into his or her fate and legend, the mythos binds the scion into its story. In this way, awareness parallels legend, though it does not subsume the scion's legend. A character's awareness rating generates a pool of awareness points equal to the character's awareness dots. Just like legend, these points may be imbued or spent. Awareness is rated 1 to 10, and a scion's awareness rating does not change her divine quality. For example, a scion with legend 3 is still a hero, even if her awareness is 5. Mythos scions must still fulfill their own fates and legends to advance to demigod or godhood, just like any other scion. Awareness trait effects. Having a single dot of awareness allows a scion to learn awareness boons from her purviews and allows him or her access to awareness innate powers of a purview. Otherwise, awareness acts as a pool from which a scion can spend points for various effects. A scion can imbue or spend an awareness instead of legend to activate boons, perform marvels, or enact feats of scale. In the case of a feat of scale, the scale bonus is still based on the character's legend rating. A scion may imbue or spend an awareness to activate an awareness boon. There's a whole lot more. Do you want me to keep reading all this?
Yeah, read that section.
Okay. They got like 5 more paragraphs. A scion may spend an awareness to destroy a single fate binding on another person. The roll condition from a fate binding ends immediately. While he or she remembers her time fate bound to the scion, he or she has no emotional attachment to it and wonders why he or she took the action he or she did. A mythos scion cannot destroy her own fate bindings. Raising awareness. Raising awareness requires the scion to complete one set of deeds, replacing either the short-term deed or long-term deed with a mythos deed. Remember that the character can take on a mythos deed in addition to a long-term or short-term deed, but does not have to complete all 4 deeds to raise awareness. Just like raising legend, put a marker beside the deeds as they are completed. Once a set is used to raise either awareness or legend, erase the marks and start over. In this way, a player must choose if he or she wishes to increase their legend or awareness with a completed set of deeds once the banned deed is completed. A character may gain additional dots in awareness from special mythos relics. These raise his or her awareness pool as though he or she had raised their awareness through deeds. But if they lose the relics, either because it is lost, stolen, or destroyed, they lose those dots in awareness. If this happens, they also immediately gain a Mythos Fate binding. Regaining awareness. A Scion may only regain awareness by accepting a special Mythos Fate binding. The energies generated by acting in accordance with the Mythos desires replenishing a single point of awareness. The awareness limit. A player character may not have more Mythos Fate binding conditions than he or she has dots in awareness. Once per session, a character may gain a new Mythos Fate binding to regain 1 point of awareness. Additionally, they may gain a new Mythos Fate binding if they use a Mythos Relic multiple times, lose a Mythos Relic, or perform marvels using awareness instead of legend. The character and the story guide should work together to determine the appropriate fate binding conditions. Here so ends awareness.
Thank you. So yeah, for those watching who play Scion, as you can tell, it's adding a new fuel source, but it doesn't supersede legend. You still have to raise your legend to actually enhance your character's power level. Awareness simply adds to that and adds something unnatural and creepy to the vibe. It also kind of sort of acts as the Pantheon's innate power, as anyone with the Mythos Pantheon gets awareness as opposed to something else like other Pantheons. Also, like Dwayne mentioned, once per session, this is for anyone who might not be super familiar with Scion, once per session you can choose to accept a fate binding either to your legend or to your awareness, one of each. And if you do it with legend, you get fate bound to a Storyteller guide character and get a fate bound condition, and that character is swept up in your story. If you fate bind to the Mythos, I do things to your character as opposed to you doing things to a storytelling character, and you become almost like the Storyteller guide character would in a regular story. And then I will assign a condition after we figure out how to weave you into the fate of the story, more specifically than you already are. There's a whole bunch of cool ones we can use.
Is awareness the dots on the fate bound, or where's it awareness tracked exactly?
It's not on that sheet because that sheet wasn't for this game. That was for Demigod. So add it anywhere you like. The note section's probably easiest in Astral. And add whatever you want there. You all have an awareness of 1 at this stage, and like the book says, anytime you get 4 more successes on a Mythos-related roll, it comes whether you want it to or not. Okay. Now let's talk about the Pantheon. The great old ones are beyond the linear concepts of time, and their origins cannot be grasped by humanity. Some walk through time, created after humanity and witnessing the birth of the universe at the same moment. Some exist at every moment and place of the multiverse, substantial and insubstantial, all at once. This Pantheon, as humans have labeled and gendered it, is neither god nor titan, but comprises extra-dimensional aliens whose horrific otherness warps everything it encounters. Their movements were traced and linked by humans, believing them to be gods in the form of others. These aliens do not have defined locations, such as other gods' realms. Some reside in Azathoth's courts, listening to the maddening music. Others walk the earth, while yet others lie eternally asleep, but never dying. So, let's talk about awesomeness in the normal introduction order, which means starting with Sean. Read about Azathoth to us, good sir.
You read about Azathoth. Azathoth, aliases, Nuclear Firestorm, the Eye of Madness. So, we're going pretty big here. At the center of infinity, a twisted god slumbers, creating bits of reality from its dreams and destroying them when it wakes. This is Azathoth, the demon sultan of chaos, head of the Pantheon, dwelling with its court outside time and space, manifesting as a voracious black hole. Azathoth is a god who knows only sensation and hunger, gobbling up anything around it unless placated by the court of musicians who beat drums and play airy pipes to soothe Azathoth's unrest. When Azathoth begins to awaken, its attention is attracted to places where the walls between the outside and reality are thin, which often manifest as some sort of opening wherein the viewer can see the eternity of space and hear the infernal piping of Azathoth's court. Azathoth is head of the pantheon, not because it is adored, but because it is the most powerful. Universes are born and destroyed as side effects of its dreams. Azathoth is the embodiment of the chaotic and destructive nature of the universe, but is also the music of the spheres. Scions of Azathoth, that's not going to get old saying, Azathoth are creative and destructive. They might be experimental. My character's just going to call him Azzy, because this is, yeah.
You got one of the easiest ones.
I'll say Yog Shathoth all day long, man. This one's hard. They might be experimental musicians exploring new forms of oral expression. Other Scions emulate Azathoth by being powerful and destructive influences at the centers of vast organizations. Unable to sate their appetite for powers and chaos, these amoral Scions act on instinct rather than reason and can manage to rise to positions of power and influence to the detriment of everyone around them. Like Azathoth, they surround themselves with toady courts of followers who protect the rest of society by placating the Scion. Among mortals, there are musicians who live in obscurity and squalor, who are gifted by Azathoth's power, with such the ability to compose and play exquisitely chaotic music that at once attracts and placates Azathoth. One such musician was the cellist Eric Zahn, who, according to the first 10 account, would play wild music that was at once. Okay, editorial error there. That was at once magnetizing and loathsome. From the single window in Zahn's attic apartment, the witness saw outside reality and realized it was Zahn's wild plane that kept the beings who lived in this place at bay. The power of Zahn's drive was so great that he continued to play beyond death. Such musicians exist in the present, playing in small clubs, dive bars to eke out a living while composing and playing music that saves humanity during the hours of darkness. The callings are creator, leader, and liminal.
Yep.
Purviews are Arcane Calculus. Well, that's definitely not getting done.
That is a mythos-specific new category for those watching.
What's Arcane Calculus?
Once we get to somebody who has things in it, I'm going to read it.
Okay.
Ranks in it.
That's not basic math, is it?
No.
Okay.
Super advanced arcane math.
Okay, great. Not going to use that one. Artistry, music, and chaos, epic stamina, and stars are the purviews.
Okay. Now, the game comes with 5 pre-made characters. Obviously, there's 6 players. We're using 5 of them, and we made one of our own. Sean's is the one we made for our own, so we're going to talk about him first. When we get to the rest of you guys, you don't have to read your whole character backstory. You just give us a summary. If people want to read the whole backstory, they can support the Kickstarter and get the manuscript. Sean's character, though, was made by us. So we chose Azathoth, and we made Sean into the world's creepiest rock star. Give us a rundown, Sean.
Am I reading my backstory here?
You just summarize it. You don't got to read the whole thing.
Okay. So I play Kurt Harrison, who was a poor university student trying to make his way through school. One particular meager...
In the 1920s.
Oh, in the 1920s. That
You're very old. You just haven't aged.
That I did not catch on to.
That's true for most of these Scions.
Okay. So Kurt was poor. He ended up on a weird side of town on a street named Rue des Zay. He found an apartment, an almost empty building, and he took up a place there, and there's a tenant, an old German man named Eric Zahn. And the old man was a mute cellist with the local orchestra, and he lived on the top floor, and when alone at night, he played strange melodies that moved Kurt in ways that he could not describe. But then he got with his friends and tried to describe them later on. Over time, Kurt gained Zahn's trust, and eventually the old man shared his dark secret with Kurt. That Elric had discovered melodies and rhythms and sounds of an otherworldly nature. Zahn played these sounds to keep back unknown and unseen creatures from Zahn's window. And if you looked out this window, you would see like a black abyss and onto something just ultimately terrible. And one night, Zahn's music reached a new mad crescendo, and Kurt, who had rushed into the room, found it empty and stared out the window in hopes of seeing if Eric had somehow gotten outside. Instead, Kurt stared into an infinite abyss and glimpsed Azathoth at the center of all creation. The window shattered, and an unnatural wind swept through the room, carrying away all of Zahn's music notes into the darkness, despite Kurt's attempts at catching them. Fleeing the house after he found Zahn seemingly dead despite his body still playing the cello, the student escapes not just the house, but the neighborhood entirely. But no matter how far he ran, Azathoth had seen Kurt, and when Kurt had glimpsed the infinitely black abyss, and slowly but inevitably the music came to Kurt as well. Kurt, however, proved to be a more durable vessel for the liminal energies of Azathoth, and moved down through the years, aging at a greatly slowed pace. As times change, so does the music, and Kurt changes with it. He can be found rocking out in his favorite clubs and writing albums that haunt the minds of his fans.
And in the depths of the night, secretly playing the music that prevents all of creation from being destroyed. Everyone give him a round of applause.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yay.
You're all welcome. Yeah, I save the planet every night.
Every night.
I think it's important to know that Azathoth's real name is He Who Shall Not Be Named.
Is it? Is that the one?
It is.
That's the real name of all of them, technically, though.
But they gave them names anyway.
Behind the rose.
Wait, what? I never heard of that one.
Children of the Corn reference. Carrying on. Stephen King might be a big fan of the Mythos. So, Sean's character is, did you decide if you're addicted or just strung out?
I'm going to go with strung out.
Sean's character is a strung out alcoholic, super thin, looks like he hasn't slept in years, rock star. Looks like he's in his mid-30s, but he's actually like 100? 120, probably?
Fair. Yeah, that sounds... I feel like this is going to go really deep into, like, Matthew McConaughey from True Detective, but...
Yeah.
Somewhere between there and Bill and Ted. I don't know.
So, let's talk about what you took, at least as far as it pertains to powers. That's what everyone really cares about.
Okay.
Sean's character has two, I can't remember if it's 2 or 3 points in relics. So why don't you tell him about your one and only relic first?
My one and only relic is an air guitar. Not really.
No. It's a real guitar.
But when he like air guitars, it just magically appears, I feel like, and then like it's just there and
actually, yes, it has an activation condition where you have to create the discordant notes of the Mad Demon Pipers of Azathoth before it works supernaturally. Otherwise, it's just a guitar.
Right. You overload. So in action, simple, range short, subject 1 machine or character, duration 1 scene, costume view 1 legend, knack maddening piping, overwhelming chaos as a free boon. It is called the Mad Sultan's Axe. It is a holy guitar. You overload a machine's gears or a person's mind with. That's a cool word. Concentrated. That's not
The mind width.
And mind width.
I thought he saw a cool word. All he saw was a missing space.
I was thinking bandwidth, like
yes.
data. So then your mind width is like how much you can like think of. Yeah. I'm using it anyway.
No, that's just a missing space.
Damn it. So yeah, I can overload machines or people with concentrated entropy. A targeted character must struggle simply to maintain coherent thought. I'm still broken up about mind width. On each turn, if they wish to take an action, they must combine it with a stamina plus athletics roll at difficulty 2. Non-trivial characters are rendered catatonic for the scene. Machines up to the size of a car can be targeted, breaking down completely until they receive maintenance. This damage is permanent, but the Scion can reclaim the legend imbued in this boon. Cannot reclaim the legend imbued in this boon until next scene.
It has a second neck.
Yes, second neck. If the hero speaks or sings the discordant notes as a simple action, he can damage the minds of any who can hear it, causing physical pain and bodily damage. Roll the Scion's stamina plus occult, and damage is done to a single target with the following tags: lethal, loud, and ranged. Flaws. The Scion must speak or sing the discordant notes of the Mad Demon Pipers of Azathoth to activate the supernatural powers of the instrument at the beginning of any scene he wishes to use it. Otherwise, it's just a badass guitar.
Sean's character's callings are Creator at 2 dots, Liminal at 2 dots, and Leader at 1 dot. Kurt's knacks are Rust and Decay, which comes from Mythos. Touch on that real fast. Rust and Decay.
Oh, I wrote them down.
With a touch.
I can read it. I got them.
Okay, you do it.
Unless you want to hear my sultry voice.
No. I'd prefer you did.
Okay. Wait, what was it? Rust and Decay?
Rust and Decay.
With a touch, you can corrode and destroy any item. Make a creator skill roll. What is a creator skill roll?
The skill tied to that particular purview, which is going to be probably going to be a cult for you.
Okay.
Because of the way we're doing your character, but it could be the skill related to what you're creating, your creation skill, technology, science.
Okay. All right. Make a creator skill roll and apply successes to making the item decay. The item is broken or destroyed if the successes equal its size. If the item has a defensive scale or armor that increases its scale against force, then you must match the additional scale in successes. Size 0 items are destroyed instantly without a roll.
He also has, and by the way, that particular knack falls under Creator, obviously. He also has the Gate and the Key.
You may spend a momentum to open a portal from one location to another, as long as it is through a literal portal, a door, window, manhole, etc., to anywhere else of your choosing, including Terra Incognita. You must have visited the location you are moving to for the portal to work.
He also has 3 other knacks from the core books, which we don't need to read what those do when they come up and play. People can see. But he has Perfect Rendition, Inspirational Aura, and Flatlander. His purviews are Artistry, music in this case, Epic Stamina, and Stars. He has 2 boons under Artistry, Enthralling Performance from the core book, and Maddening Song, which he can read to us from this supplement.
Let's see. Maddening Song?
Yeah, that'd be down under the boons.
The mythos flows through you and into your audience. When you deliver an oration, song, speech, poem, play, etc., any who hear you are filled with fear and despair. Shift the attitude of all affected characters who witness the performance to fearful. Additionally, characters have a +3 complication to do anything other than run in fear.
Which is awesome.
Oh, cool.
Under Epic Stamina, he has Unbreakable from the core book and Infirmed from Mythos, which is the inverted power.
The mythos wraps around your enemy, weakening them and making them susceptible to viler actions. You can target a single character or all trivial characters in range with this boon. Inflict a condition that increases the difficulty to resist disease and poison by 2. Prevents the character from using any healing or regeneration abilities. Doubles complications imposed by physical conditions and injury conditions. The condition ends when you reclaim your awareness or when the character suffers from 2 injuries while affected by this condition.
Last but not least, under Stars, he has Temporal Shift.
Temporal Shift. For as long as you have awareness imbued, you can slow down or speed up time for yourself. If you slow time for yourself, everything happens around you at an advanced pace. You must blow through a boring waiting period or pass forward in time to an anticipated event. If you speed time for yourself, then everything around you appears to happen at a glacial pace. You can walk past an attack, sleep it a full 8 hours in just a few minutes, or pluck a slow-moving bullet from the air. While you do not leave the plane of reality on which you are, you seem to disappear to onlookers while out of time. Actions that would benefit from slowed or sped up time gain a +2 enhancement at Storyguide discretion.
Yes. Also, it's 2 points in birthright, so it's 2 points for the Mad Sultan's axe. Now, it's a good point time to mention relics in the masks of the mythos aren't the same as relics in regular Scion. That also includes companions, in that they're not necessarily granted to you by your god as gifts. They are the discarded echoes of power that come from exposure to the mythos and the mighty, insane beings thereof. So, like, it's something that should not exist and is unnatural and probably feels creepy and has creepy side effects that you just happen to have because you're exposed to the mythos constantly, unlike a direct gift. Now, a lot of these characters do have relics from the core books, so we'll just say they found those along the way for the sake of such a short story. But the pre-mates come with a variety of relics from other sources also. Okay. That pretty much covers all the new fun things in Sean's character. Sean's character obviously is very good at playing music and being a rock star. Okay. Let's do Devin next and surprise him so he doesn't have to be last. Devin, read your god to us.
Oh my god. Yog-Sothoth. No. Wrong person. Wrong entity. Yog-Sothoth, who is known as Yog-Sat, the Beyond One, the unlocking just entity, and supreme archetype. Yog-Sothoth is a being of immense power that dwells in interstitial spaces outside the reach of human perception. When it takes form in the terrestrial realm, a giant rolling cluster of glowing spheres materializes, growing and shrinking and metastasizing a protoplasmic mass that undulates with dizzying speeds. It opens abrasions in reality that spark fits of lightning and issues an unbearable stench. Peal foreboding shrieks from the skies. Many mythos sorcerers are drawn to the Yog-Sothoth's ability to bridge profound distances or to scry into unearthly worlds and dimensions. The entity is both gateway and key to alien realms. Those who call on its powers to peek through the cosmic keyholes also invite the unlocking to manifest in the world. Direct contact with this being causes distortion of living flesh and hastens its destruction. With the help of sorcerers, Yog-Sothoth has been known to beget hybrid offspring with human hosts, and sometimes its progeny is humanoid, though they mature at unusual rates and show strange characteristics such as elongated or hircine features. Other offspring become formless entities, invisible to human sight, that grow enormous as they slake a voracious appetite for earth meat, human flesh. Contact with Yog-Sothoth erodes the illusion of an individual's consciousness, imparting an expanded view of sentient beings as a part of a larger alien whole. And the entity has been known to swap minds of sentient beings for unknown purposes. The crusty fungoid Migo worship the entity as the embodiment of linked, faceted minds that work together with singular purpose. Scions under Yog-Sothoth's influence stand in the doorway of perilous knowledge of the universe and its mysteries, or the mysteries of its clockwork. Expanded perspective gives Scions an aura of outward calm and casts them as anchors in times of crisis, stalwart in the eye of the storm, but on the inside. Scions experience constant stress of unease as they stave off visions of the frothing, iridescent slipstream. They offer the quiet comfort to those around them while grappling with the unsettling awareness of the insignificance of the mortal busywork. To function, they suppress the fullness of their perspective and shield those who are unprepared to cope. Flashes of insight about past and future shine through the keyholes. This allows them to react with uncanny reflexes and to intuit correlations of cause and effect. The callings of This are Liminal, Judge, and Defiler. And its purviews are epic dexterity, epic strength, epic stamina. Pretty epic. Journeys, order, and stars.
Okay. Devon's character, Isaiah Baldwin. Go ahead and give us a brief summary. You don't have to read the whole thing. These pre-mates are very in-depth. They're pretty awesome with their backstories. We'll be here all night if that's all we read, though.
Isaiah is an Arcanite, and he pretty much was always wanting to be touched by the weirdness, and was hoping to, help with issues of racism everywhere. He joined the army to serve his country and came back a hero, but found out everything is worse than when he got back. He wanted the power to change things, but didn't have it. So found wandering. He found just a house that had an ethereal light, and he walked in, and upon looking in realized he could either turn around and go home completely normal or become something else, and he did.
And to point out too, in this case, once again, like Sean's character, we're talking about the First World War here.
Yes.
Devon's character is old.
The war.
Yes, the Great War. Okay. So, as the Scion of Nyarlathotep, your callings are Judge, favored for 2 dots, Liminal for 2 dots, and Healer for 1 dot. So, among the stars is one of his Judge knacks, which, core book knack, but then he also has Curse of Fragility. Tell us about that one.
Curse of Fragility. I pick a target in a combat situation, spend momentum, and for the rest of the fight, all of the attacks upon it are considered to have the brutal tag. Brutal tag, of course, being massive trauma onto the target, and it's reduced successes for a critical hit by 1.
Yep, when he hits you, you're made of glass. That's it for knacks for this character because points were spent different ways. Under purviews, he has Epic Strength, Epic Stamina, and Stars. Under Epic Strength, he has the Wrath and Fury boon. That's a core book boon, isn't it?
No, this one was...
okay, read that to us, please.
Great Old Ones with Epic Strength exhibit power and force unlike any other. Their might and wrath are terrible to behold, causing pain and destruction in their wake. The innate power means that when you use might to impress or intimidate others, your allies gain a +1 enhancement to their next actions, and enemies suffer a +1 complication on the next attack or act they attempt on your allies. I spend 1 awareness, and it's an instant duration on myself. I make an attack so powerful that it radiates out from with enduring force. Any attack I make on a single target creates a shockwave that radiates out.
What is your other Epic Strength boon?
I believe that.
Or do you only have the 1?
I only had the 1.
Okay. Did you have any boons under Epic Stamina? I don't have them all.
No, I only had the ones under Strength and Stars.
And then under Stars, he has Temporal Shift, which we already talked about with Sean. Birthrights, he has a 2-point guide. Tell us about that. And you have some relics. You can tell us about those too.
All right, hold on 1 second.
Now, you don't need to give us details on your guides because I have a lot of that because a lot of Mythos creatures are like, they do what they want. But you can still tell people what it is.
And I did not have that part looked up. I had the other parts looked up for you.
That is okay. I have it here. You have...
Right. Good, thank you.
We did miss 2 knacks. I thought you had more than that.
Yeah, no.
Also has Puppet Show and Raise an Army, which are from the core book. Which, of course... Wait, no, I'm looking at the wrong person.
No, you're looking at the wrong person.
Cow.
I have Among the Stars and Curse of Fragility as my knacks. Among the Stars we haven't gone over yet, though.
You can read that one while I pull up the correct document, not Dwayne's.
All right. So Among the Stars, I roll my knack skills, spend a momentum. And for turns equal to successes, I take the form of star stuff. I adapt the picture of the bleak void or with pinpricks of light, and in doing so, I become intangible but extremely dense. Matter bends around me, allowing me to pass through the smallest of cracks or shore up the largest of spaces. Weapon attacks bend away from you, and metal wraps around the density of your shape. Attackers find that their fists are slowed to nothing as they enter your radius. And when the effect unwads, my body reverts to normal, but anything that I altered in the process stays that way.
He also has Guide at 2 points, which in Masks of the Mythos means I'm going to give him terrifying visions when he needs to know this. And maybe creepy voices now and then. He also has the relics, the Notcat Horn Spear, Igjalar, and the Talisman of Kinyan. Those are all going to be located in the Pantheon section.
Except for the Igjalar.
Yeah, that one's core book, so we can skip over that one. But read the 2 new ones.
So the Talisman of Kinyan, it's a Journey's purview, and motif is Into the Unknown, a minted disc of dark, lustrous metal inscribed with strange designs. The Talisman of Kinyan is a sacred symbol of Tulu, a bastardization of Cthulhu. The metal is used to make this talisman is not native to Earth. The mortal followers of Tulu brought it along with them when they followed the god to Earth, and used it as material for anything precious or used to store precious items, and it is magnetic only to like metals. The knack that goes with it is the possessors of this talisman may use the gate and the key to receive safe passage into Kinyan, and are treated as unobtrusive visitors among the servants of Tulu. And the Nufkek Horn Sphere comes with the purview of Frost. Its motif is Winter Has Come. This hideously twisted rod of whatever passes for keratin in the distant place of its origin rests within a massive double zipper plastic bag, lest its foul odor be allowed to wander freely. Its owner once stalked the Earth's early hominids of this world with predatory abandon, and for so long that its shadow still haunts the ancestral memory of the species. The merest whiff evokes blind panic among mortals, humans who will form a terror-filled stampede to escape its bearer and cower helplessly if they cannot. The knack, when activated, the wearer appears as a Nofkek and strikes with deadly accuracy, and the attack is unsoakable.
And now we'll move on to Ever. All right, give us a brief summary of Malcolm's backstory.
Oh, it's also good though. So
It is.
born in what would become Delaware, Willow Wachtau Wopin was captured and sold into slavery. He would come to be known as Hezekiah Smith by his enslavers. He wound up in Salem in the early days of English colonization. He was trained in the healing arts, and knowing a bit of the ways of the outer gods, he saw the Salem witch panic for the fraud it was, and was more than happy when his master and mistress decided to leave for the new settlement that would become Havensport. Building on his rudimentary magical knowledge, Hezekiah worked with... Actually, this one's a hard one for me to say. Matchaitehu to deepen his understanding of magic. The most significant magic he mastered was the ability to transfer his consciousness to another, aided by the Vial of Souls. When he was young, he did this to learn the secrets of his fellow residents and use that information to build a sizable fortune. And as he aged, he understood the power of his mind transference was the key to immortality. And after settling his affairs in order and finding a suitable replacement, he moved on to a new body in the waning days of life and of his original form. He's lived for centuries, amassing wealth and power. And his most recent, perhaps last, transfer has taken him on a new journey of power. He transferred his spirit into his new host, a man named Malcolm Hodge. Even as he entered his new body, he knew something was different. There was a strength and power to this man that he doubted the man knew he had, or it wouldn't have been so easy to overcome him. As he settled into this new form, he smiled as he realized what was going on and how befitting it was that one who was worn so many faces would transfer into the body of a Scion of Nyarlathotep, with a faithful, unnameable shadow thing as an ethereal companion. His description, he's calm and controlled, and his current form is an athletic Cherokee American man in his mid-40s. An observant person might notice that the apparent calm and control is a mask. Beneath this veneer, Wulawaktawopin is always ready to sow chaos for his own gain and the favor of his adopted parent.
Now tell us about, some might say the most awesome, others might say the worst, Mythos God.
Switch that document real quick. Nyarlathotep. The aliases for this deity, is the crawling chaos, or the messenger. Of all the pantheon, Nyarlathotep is most attuned to humanity. It is not clear whether this is because he finds humanity interesting, enjoys corrupting those seeking power beyond themselves, or has some reason beyond the ken of mere humans. What is clear is that he appears to people in a multitude of forms, and is said to have 1,000 faces. In ancient times, he was the Black Pharaoh. To medieval witches, he was the Black Man offering power in exchange for entering their name in the Black Book. He's the showman, offering something new and exciting to people bored with quotidian life. He is the pseudoscientist, offering new and outlandish theories intended to overthrow the consensus truth of the establishment, and he is the politician, sowing dissent and hate. He is a Svengali, presiding over a worshipful cult or the gullible masses waiting to follow the latest fad, and a movie star attracting the adoration of millions. He is the ultimate trickster. He is corruption and deception and chaos personified. He does it all simply to undermine what humanity perceives as reality. It is impossible to provide a description of a typical manifestation of Nyarlathotep. His avatars are legion, and he is more easily identified by what he does than by his appearance. By sowing chaos, he causes those who would be aware of him to suspect anyone with similar traits of being him. Many a would-be do-gooder has landed in prison, believing they are thwarting the crawling chaos, only to learn that what they thought was a god was a 2-bit con artist. His scions are similarly challenging to identify, as they have no common characteristic other than a desire to cause chaos and to deceive. Strangely, his scions often work at cross purposes to one another, creating even greater chaos in the wake of their competing schemes. Knowingly or not, they simply follow the pattern of their progenitor, who could just as easily play the part of the crusader against evil, combating another avatar of himself. The callings for Nyarlathotep are trickster, corrupter, and sage. The purviews are arcane calculus, chaos, deception, epic dexterity, journeys, order, passion, sun, war.
A few. Okay. This character has corruptor at 2 dots, sage at 2 dots, and trickster at 1 dot for callings. It's got the Nax Honeyed Words, which, again, I believe that's a core book one.
I have it, so if you want me to read it off.
Let's double check. If it's core book one, we don't need to worry about it.
I think Redirect and Honeyed Words were in the newest, and Palace of Memory was...
Yep, it is from this one. You were right. Yep. Go ahead and read that. Read it to us.
Honeyed Words. Choose a person to be your charge, spend a momentum, and give them a direction or suggestion. When they act on that direction, they gain +2 enhancement to do so, as long as you are watching. If you have a bond with the person, you can forego the cost.
That's a bard power. I like it. And yes, Palace of Memories is from the core book, but Redirect is from this one. So go ahead and read us that one.
Redirect. Spend a momentum. You convert one enemy's current attitude to anger from whatever it was before. At the same time, select a new target to become the object of that anger, causing your enemy to attack the new target in a rage.
Okay. The purviews chosen were Chaos, Journeys, and War. However, boons were essentially foregone for this character in exchange for a creature Unnameable Shadow at 4 ranks, which the GM will control but will always be there to be your faithful companion doing terrible and horrible things to be your friend. And the Vial of Souls Relic. Vial of Souls should be in here. Let's find out. Too far. I've gone too far. Okay. Vial of Souls, yes. Do you have it, or do you want me to read it?
That is the only information that I did not put in a brand new document.
Okay. The Vial of Souls is a 3-dot relic. It's a small clay vessel attached to a leather strap worn as a necklace. It allows the user to temporarily draw the spirit from the body of another person and trap it in the vial, leaving the body receptive to occupation by the spirit of another. Victim can resist the attempt, but once they're in the vial, the spirit stays there until sunrise the following day or until they're freed. Those familiar with the proper rites and rituals can prepare the empty body to make this effect permanent. This way, whoever possesses the vial can effectively live indefinitely, jumping from body to body. The vial has 2 powers. The simpler power works like possession from the origin book, providing a +3 enhancement to the possession attempt. And the other, preparation by someone with sorcery, can add additional enhancements. And any success of 3 is permanent. So, it allows you to try to possess people even if you haven't sucked their soul out. But if you suck their soul out, it allows you to take over their body.
That sounds fun.
Next, we're going to look into it. Tell us about your god, Maria.
The god. Yeah, as soon as you ask me now, I can't. Oh, there it is. Well, maybe not. Hold on. Alright, my god. I can barely pronounce this. Gatanothoa.
Yep, you had the fun one. I'll take it.
Gatanothoa. Aliases are the Petrifier or the Burrowing Ooze. Gatanothoa is a giant chimeric monstrosity with a form so abhorrent that its mere image can paralyze and mummify witnesses alive. Those who succumb to its gaze are forever frozen but remain aware, looking out at the world from inside the prison of a desiccated body. My god dwells in an undersea fortress atop the submerged mountain called Yadith Gaol on the sunken continent of Mu. The Muvians treated the entity as a god, placating the creature over countless generations with sacrifices to prevent it from seeping out of its nest and destroying the earth. The bodies of those who glimpse its horror turn into leathery corpses, and its image sears into its retinas, imbuing the victim's eyes with the same Medusa-like qualities. Over time, their trapped minds become twisted with desperation. Reaching out from isolation spurs many to develop a weak, whispering form of telepathy. Over aeons, a psychic network of these mummified victims has spread across the globe, forming a thought cult of nattering corpses that relay messages across continents. These rantings hit at revenge conspiracies of forming a resistance against the alien god. But there is little hope of any real coordination amid the chorus of unfocused telepathic blather. My god knows of this network, and taps into the signal for amusement, like an external radio station that plays concertos of suffering. Before Mu submerged, my god made enemies among followers of Shub Nyarlathotep.
Got it in one.
Oh, that one's easy. Namely, a high priest called Chog, who tried to shield himself against the entity's gaze with a magical scroll written on the inner skin of a lizard, stored inside a cylinder made of metal from the planet Yugoth. My god's guardians switched the scroll and thwarted the priest's attack. Since that time, followers of both entities have squared off against each other in far corners of the globe. Neither Nyarlathotep nor Shub Nyarlathotep take such notice of their followers' rivalries. Chog believed the scroll could help defeat the menace of Nyarlathotep and restore the humans who had fallen under the spell of its gaze. That scroll is lost to time. Scions entangled with my god tend to harbor quiet reflection and introspection. They are thinkers, keen observers, and valuable collectors of information and secrets. They sometimes tap into the network of ceaseless whispering voices for insight. However, listening in on these conversations come with great risk to the Scion's stability. My callings are Cosmos, Corrupter, and Leader, and my purviews are Chaos, Darkness, Death, Deception, and Epic Strength.
Okay, I give us a brief summary of your backstory. Maria West.
So Maria West, as I said before, she was a child savant, taking on education early. By the age of 10, she had already known dozens of languages and was reading at a college level, and had already invented a number of items that had shot her family into the limelight of the rich and famous. She began attending college at the age of 15, where she attended Miskatonic University to study medicine. However, she found this kind of like unchallenging until she found it, the place, the experiment, the science beyond belief. It was the very science of life and death that her dear uncle Herbert West wreaked havoc nearly a century ago. Now she is a tall, young, according to this, she is a Latinx. I don't know what a Latinx is. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be Latina.
That's Latin X.
Oh, okay. Latin.
Yeah, it's
unnamed. Gotcha.
Yeah, it's more
Right.
inclusive.
Correct.
But then it says woman. Of
Right,
average
it means
build.
all the different Latin ethnicities under one umbrella.
Gotcha. And she's quote unquote she's your nerd girl. She's always looking at her phone, hair tied back, wearing the loose clothing, backpack, always looking to study. She knows how to talk to people, but she'd rather focus on her studies and her work.
So, Rachel has additional information for us. Go ahead and tell us what you put in the chat, Rachel. Pretty please.
Oh, yeah. As far as I know, Latin is the correct pronunciation,
Latin,
because
okay.
X is silent in Spanish, which is the primary language for most Latin people, or many Latin people. I could be wrong, but that was the last I heard of it.
Okay. Yep, looks like you're right, too. All right. So,
As far as my knacks go, I have Puppet Show, Rust and Decay, and Raise an Army.
For those who know a lot about Lovecraft, I'm sure you picked up on Herbert West being in that backstory. Yes. Dwayne's character is Raiser of Zombies.
Yeah.
Go ahead and read us the ones that are new to this game.
Actually, I do believe all of them are.
Let's hear them all.
All right. So, Arrested Decay. Actually, we already went over this with Sean. That was the with the touch you can corrode and destroy an item.
Yeah, we can skip that one.
Puppet Show. I can take command of my charge's body and mind, directing her actions and guiding her thoughts. I can roll Guardian Knack skill. Success allows me to direct my charge to take a single action. You dictate how the action is taken, and even if he or she speaks or talks, even if he or she talks while taking the action. You must be able to see your charge to use the knack, though you do not have to verbalize or speak the command out loud. The knack does not work unless you have a bond with the target. And they also must be lower tiered than me. As far as raise an army, your command sways people to follow you, even those who barely know you. I can spend momentum to raise an army of trivial targets which come to my call and fight by my side. No matter where I am, people will come to fight for you. And if you are in a place without people, creatures of the mythos come to my...
There it is.
Come to my calling.
That's when we can literally raise an army.
Yes.
Just need a graveyard.
Okay. The main purviews that I took were Chaos, Darkness, and Death. And of those three, I have
like
Shadow Minion. Sorry?
Sounds like a fun time. Chaos, Darkness, and Death.
Yes, Chaos, Darkness, and Death. And of those, I have the boon of Shadow Minion and Creeping Dead. And those are new as well. Let's see. Where'd it go? Creeping Dead. I can take the reins of all corpses within range and give them life.
There it is.
Corpses in graves dig their way out. Dead bodies raise and walk. And even corpses that are animated using magic automatically move at my whim. So even if somebody else raised dead, I take over their dead. Yeah, they don't do anything exciting. But they make good shields.
And I mean, an undead, army rolling down a hill is always a good time.
My Shadow Minion allows me to create one or more Shadow Minions to act on my behalf. Create these minions using antagonist rules and Scion or Origin. Create a single professional level monster or several mooks. All shadows have the incorporeal quality, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
Minions disappear, turn after reclaim their awareness from the boon.
Okay. Do you have any birthrights that are fun and new? Or other boons?
I have no birthrights. I don't have any other boons. I do have a relic, but I can't find it.
What's it called?
The Horn Manuscripts.
Oh, that's in the Pantheon chapter page. I'll go ahead and read it, but so you can find it. It's page 17. The Horn Manuscripts comprise 37 volumes. There are 13 folios of correspondence, 2 ledgers, and 22 journals. All materials were supposedly written by or to someone named Simon Horn. But this is improbable, since the correspondence and journals include a range of dates starting in the mid-17th century and ending in 1929. There's no way any of you are centuries old. Looks at all of you. Manuscripts were part of the contents of a crate left at the Havens College Library by a former head librarian, Professor James George. They were added to the college's growing selection of rare and occult books following his sudden disappearance in 1932. There are stories that a man claiming to be a distant relative of Professor George tried to claim the manuscripts when the college first refused to turn them over. So you would have copies in this case, because obviously the originals are the only Miskatonic University. They are real and powerful tools in the hands of a mythos sorcerer or a scion. Detailed in the letters, notes, and journals is a treasure trove of information, detailing the means to raise the dead from their essential salts and return them back to life. There's also instructions for summoning guardian beings from outside reality. The knack it gives you is you can call up the long dead from their essential salts and dissolve them back to these salts. The subject of this spell is not necessarily cooperative, resulting in a clash of wills between the user and the newly raised dead. You can raise specific people with this, not just like MIGs and minions. Flaw is, sometimes it's not possible for you to put down what you call up. Gravestones can be lost or switched, descriptions might have been wrong, got the salts a little off. It's possible that what you think you're summoning is not what you're prepared to summon. What could possibly go wrong? Okay.
Actually, I do have one more thing.
Okay.
That is of good note. I do have I guess I don't have it, but I do have a creature. I have 5 points in Ghoul Army.
Especially amusing considering the story we're about to do. Okay. So you can summon an army of ghouls. Typically, ghouls in Lovecraftian universe and the Mythos universe live underneath the city in the sewers and in tunnels below the earth. So, they're always there, but it might take a minute for them to get to you. On that note, we have 2 more characters to go over real quick before we dive into part 1 of the story. First, we're going to take a 10-minute break for our players.
Ah.
So, audience, go nowhere. We will be back at 10:42 Eastern Time. 2 more characters to talk about, and we'll dive into some meaty goodness.
We're back.
Okay, and we have returned. Whilst our producer angrily fixes cameras, we're going to move on
Who are you?
to Rachel. Rachel, tell us about your god and then give us a brief background of your character.
Okay. Albtrom. Elias's, the slumbering one, the caller in the wave, the terror from below. Albtrom sleeps deep in the South Atlantic Ocean, in a city hewn directly from the valley floor, covered in Hellenistic friezes, marble pillars, and pristine cobble paths. This city, often called Atlantis, but possibly a reflection of Raya, is Albtrom's home and lair. Few know what Albtrom looks like, save for those who have entered her toothy maw, for she most resembles a grand and terrible version of the anglerfish, complete with soft, phosphorescent glow. Though her temple is carved with the visage of a strong and athletic youth, crowned with laurels, the bacchanalian statues surrounding the temple belie his trickster nature. In times before, Albtrom was one of the lesser Old Ones of Relia, serving under Azathoth. Her voracious appetite for all things unknown eventually saw her visit the world. But fate-binding was a powerful deterrent for spending too much time around humans. So she sought solace and to learn about the world from the bottom of the sea, to protect herself during dormancy. From here, she learned about the world, but she could not learn about the land dwellers, so she decided to bring them to her domain. Albtrom created hundreds of ivory statues of her likeness, out of her own bones, and scattered them to the currents. She always knows where these pieces of herself are, and if someone touches one, she forges a connection immediately. In this way, she learned everything she needed to know about humanity. Now, when she grows lonely or hungry, she sends dreams through the talismans to their owners, drawing them to her. And when they enter the water, she sends dolphins to guide their way and protect their voyage until the person is firmly in her grasp. By the time sorry, I lost my place. By the time they make the voyage, they are completely under her sway, and any with the will to resist are crushed to dust or turned to statues to decorate his temple. Those who come quickly and beg for mercy earn a place in the city dwelling forever, in the depths, or a place in his vast stomach. Albtrom does not grace the land and left the other mythos gods long ago, but he reigns free in his underwater city. Scions of Albtrom are beautiful, intelligent, and obedient, always chosen from those who heed his call after finding a talisman. Scions from other pantheons may find themselves under Albtrom's protection after encountering such a talisman without ever meeting him in the flesh. Albtrom's callings are Corrupter, Liminal, and Trickster. Purviews: artistry, sculpture, beasts, dolphins, beauty, darkness, deception, and water.
Basically, Devin when he gets home from work then. Okay, it was a brief backstory of Lena.
Lena was born and raised in Athens, Greece. I think, based on context clues, she's probably one of the younger people here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so her parents relocated to Florida when she was 17, and she decided not to go with them. So she moved in with her aunt. And her aunt was a boat tour guide for tourists coming to Greece. And so she sort of got into that a little bit. But then she met and fell in love with, I want to call it Daraha, but it's probably Daraja.
Not sure on that one either. I was wondering the same thing.
Yeah, well, I think it's Arabic. I'm used to the silent J, but Daraja.
I think so, yeah.
Muhammad, an international art thief from Lagos. They fell in love, and Daraja took Lena on whirlwind trips around the world, which often ended in Lena using her well-honed con artist skills to steal art. Daraja was interested in mystical and otherworldly art, and Lena became interested in turn. and eventually received from her lover a gift of a little tiny marble bust of a Grecian boy with a crown of laurels. Lena thought this is the best thing ever, started wanting to investigate the origins of this piece. Didn't really find anything, but a little bit later, felt a compulsion to take her aunt's boat out into the middle of the water. She brought scuba gear. About after 3 days of sailing, dolphins showed up, and 6 more days when the boat just stopped moving and Lena felt, all right, time to dive. So she dove, should have run out of oxygen, should have been crushed by the ocean, wasn't, did encounter a beautiful glowing temple where she came face to face with Albtrom. She pleased her god because she was not eaten, but was instead returned to land. Given a task that is not elucidated in the text.
Excellent. Okay. So, I just shrunk it because I'm a smart person. The dots for the callings are Trickster, Favored 2, Cosmos 2, and Corruptor 1. Why don't you tell us about any knacks that came from the new stuff?
I have Honeyed Words, which
Yep.
I believe we've already gone over.
Yep.
I have Master of the World.
That we have not.
Okay, let me get to my notes. Master of the World. When inside a field, you may define up to 3 points of enhancements or complications, or a combination of each, that are readily apparent to your perceptions, which may be enhanced by other abilities, but not obvious to other observers. They must conform to the features of the field, however. It makes sense for a shotgun to be behind the bar, but not a rocket launcher. The hardwood floors of a burning building could be expected to be weak, but the flames can't be cold. Only a total of 3 enhancements or complications can be applied to a field at a time, regardless of how many Scions possess this ability.
Excellent. And then,
And then I also have Psychic Attack and Exposed.
I'm pretty sure there's a both from this one. And checking.
I think you are correct.
Yeah, go ahead and read those.
Okay, Psychic Attack. You impart your vast stores of knowledge to someone else, overwhelming them. Spend a momentum to roll your next skill. Success inflicts a complication equal to successes rolled on your victim's actions that require mental capacity, such as studying, researching, or even communicating. And then Exposed. Spend a momentum and tell a damaging lie about someone of the same or lower tier. Everyone who hears you utter the lie believes it to be true, even if there is evidence proving elsewise. Attempts to exonerate your target provoke a clash of wills. That's cool.
Yes. And then for birthrights, she also has a 4-dot dolphin. We have to make sure we do some water stuff because that's an amazing dolphin with even tentacles or something. Purview-wise, she has Transcendent Deception and Arcane Calculus, which we said we'd touch on when we got to someone who actually paid into it. Arcane Calculus is the signature purview of the Mythos Pantheon. For those who are new to Scion, all Pantheons have a signature purview. And whenever you buy into the purviews, you get an innate power. So we'll touch on the innate powers at the end when we're done with Patrick, because you all have them for all your purviews. But that also means that this character is able to buy into the cool powers, Disturbing Visions and Mouth of Madness.
Do you want me to read either one of those?
Yes, go ahead and read them both.
Okay, should I read Arcane Calculus too?
Yeah, you can read the fluff on that.
Okay. Knowledge is the lifeblood of the mythos. Within arcane texts, written in blood or on paper tanned from flesh, sit the arcane words of power. All it takes is a promise to serve, for the mythos to grant the knowledge and ability to tap into that power. The mythos accepts all manner of worship, from praise and sacrifice and unwavering devotion to total indifference in a selfish power grab. And in return, they impart only a fraction of the power and intellect that they contain. All this serves to bring the mythos closer to the world and allow the great old ones to breach the veil that separates their worlds from this one. Innate power. When performing analysis, research, or surveying investigation actions, you gain +1 enhancement. You can ignore up to 1 complication from such actions that would lead you to misinterpret the information you gain on the action. Disturbing visions. Cost free. Duration instant. Subject self. Action simple. By reading scripts from mythos realms or inscribing arcane geometries, you receive a vision from the mythos. This vision is a compulsion, something the gods want you to do for them, with a promise of a benefit afterward. The request replaces the character's short-term deed with something achievable within the session. Disturbing visions should only be usable once per session, and should be a minor effort requiring a scene's worth of activity and at least 1 successful roll. The exact request often doesn't make any sense, whether the deed is esoteric or simply strange, and is left to the story guide's discretion. This typically results in characters stumbling across disparate and far-flung cults and rites until a full and final picture is revealed. Once you've completed the mission, gain 1 awareness and 1 legend. The vision has shredded away the veil, enabling you to see any being touched by the mythos. Mouth of Madness. Cost, spend 1 awareness. Duration, 1 scene. Subject, multiple characters. Clash, presence plus legend versus resolve plus legend. Range, short. Action, simple. You speak of an incident or situation you are investigating. This can be as simple as a person's name or the event that created your lead. Everyone within range immediately begins to speak, divulging everything they know about the situation. You gain enhancement 3 on any investigative action to follow up on any clues or stunts related to the revelations you've heard for the rest of the session. When acting decisively upon the information you gain this way, you also have +1 scale where appropriate for the rest of the session. For example, acting upon the revelation of a fellow Scion's perfidy grants you scale to defeat them, but only if the information somehow relates to a weakness of theirs.
Okay. And then this character also has a bunch of other fun things. They have 3 dots in followers. Lena can call on a cult. Cult of Darkness when necessary. Lena also has a pile of relics, including the ivory idol of Eldtrom, which I'm not actually seeing in the document. Did you find it?
No, I looked for it.
Okay.
There's idols of other things, though.
Yeah, we'll fall back on that. And then from the core book, she also has Kusanagi no Tsurugi and the Sword That Cuts Grass, both of which are pretty great. And last but not least, Patrick, tell us about your god and a brief summary of your character.
Well, of course, it is only fitting that the best, the oldest, and the deepest of the old ones would be last. Cthulhu, master of Vial, the slumbering titan. Cthulhu does not speak directly to his scions. How could he? He sleeps, dreaming, and through those dreams, he makes himself known. Communions with the Old One straddle the line between dream and nightmare. Strange, dark, curling shapes in deep water. The only semblance of words they hear are burbling sounds, low and gurgling, bubbles struggling to rise to the surface. Scions wake from these encounters, gasping for air. These scions awaken with an affliction worse after a shared dream, their bodies soaked, trembling, and the monstrous visage of Cthulhu temporarily burned into the underside of their palms, writhing and pulsating before fading. The Old One's purviews, like his dream messages, are two-sided. His scions are expert swimmers, but their prowess derives from a fear of being submerged and trapped as their patron was. His scions gather close and sleep, empowered by their visions, but are as alone in the waking hours as anyone has ever been, isolated by the same knowledge that empowers them. Death is among his purviews, but for Cthulhu and his scions, death is as temporary as sleep. Cthulhu promises awakening of all kinds. Cthulhu and his scions are drawn together by their dreams, both literally and figuratively. Scions of Cthulhu often feel trapped by circumstance, waiting to be freed. Cthulhu promises freedom if they work to secure his in return. Meanwhile, the great dreamer lives vicariously through them, walking freely with their feet, seeing the world through their eyes, and sowing the seeds of revenge with their hands. At times, his scions feel him under their skin, cold and sluggish, but making his presence known. In times of great urgency, Cthulhu can force sleep upon his scions to impart his desires or knowledge upon them more immediately. For the scion, this experience is not unlike being dragged underwater. The more they try to tread water and resist, the more overwhelming their exhaustion and the more violent their visions. Cthulhu is especially drawn to people the closer they live to Ryla, where he slumbers. His influence dwindles as his scions move further away, but he can never be shaken. His stride is too great to be outpaced, and he can always reach his scions in their dreams. Soon, he will be able to reach further, out of dreams and water, and unto the waking world.
5-star delivery.
Thank you. Cthulhu's callings are liminal, cosmos, and destroyer, and her purviews, death, dreams, epic stamina, epic strength, health, and water.
Okay, give us a summary of your character.
Gladly. Let me find his sheet here. My character's name is Marius Ero. Marius was born in Paris, and I lived quite a very nice childhood. My mother was considered nobility in the Harlem Renaissance, and so she moved to France in the 30s, hoping to absorb even more culture and impart upon that she had made famous in her country. Music, arts, politics, science, all of those touched my life, and my parents, both of them being successful, were surprised by even how fast I picked up all of those. I transferred to Miskatonic University in my junior year, where I continued my education, and I was a forever student, never completing a major, but taking courses in nearly any purview or subject. Eventually, becoming a drain on the university forced me to graduate, but offered me a job as a teacher. I was originally a scion of Luf under the Celtic pantheon, as is correct under all of my various pursuits. I excelled at being a professor, understanding the life of a student better than any, as I'd spent numerous years doing it. Most of it was uneventful until Nyarlathotep. Yes?
Nyarlathotep.
Yep. Came in disguise asking for my help. I followed my destiny and accepted this challenge. However, in just a short 6 months, I was fired from the university due to the knowledge I had acquired, and this turned me into a scion of Cthulhu. I have opened a small private investigator shop in downtown Havens Point. My prices reasonable, my skill unquestionable, but my fate broken. If you got the money, I'll help. Otherwise, get out of town. I often wonder why my life was touched by chaos, but I know some things are just unknowable. Marius is I didn't do a good job of it. I didn't get too much into my character. Is a clean-shaven black man of average build in my late 30s.
Don't like that.
I know, but that's why I can really get into this character as I identify with the clean-shaven aspect. He usually wears slightly worn professional suits, with including elbow patches, and a fedora. And then, just so you know, I mean business. I do mean business. I do happen to have 2 chest holsters, one with a normal Glock 27, the other with what could be described as quite possibly the largest Magnum revolver you've ever seen in your life. Marius's callings are Warrior 2, Judge 2, and Creator 1.
I'd also like to point out here, we didn't go over paths. In Scion, everyone picks a path. It determines your skill setup. Each path gives you 3 skills you can point in, etc., etc. And as you level up, you can add more points to your path skills by buying the path as a package. But I must point out here that the Pantheon path for this character is, well, tell us, Patty, because it's the best one in the show.
Jack of all trades, master of none.
No, the Pantheon.
Oh, sorry. Noir Shamus with a grudge.
That's right.
With a grudge.
Carry on.
Yes. Let's see. I got some, my skills and attributes mainly focused around being somewhat knowledgeable in just about all fields, but also definitely knowing how to use my handguns that I have trained with extensively. My knacks are We Go All Night, Wireless Interface, Lie Detector, On the Case, and Death by Teacup. Which
those are all core book ones, right?
They are all core book ones.
Death by Teacup's fun. We're going to use that.
It is. Death. I had a feeling, you can kind of tell what it is by the name if you just kind of assume it, but then you read it like, oh, this is even better. My purviews are Epic Dexterity, Order and War, which are all base game ones. My boons are Unerring Flight, Herald of Victory, Code of Heaven, Nothing But Truth, and Clumsy Fool. So the only new one out of those is Clumsy Fool, which I will read for you now. With Clumsy Fool, I can imbue 1 awareness and afflict a condition on another character. Has a range of medium. I steal someone else's grace, leaving them clumsy and bumbling. This boon inflicts a condition on your victim that imposes a +2 complication to all actions that require dexterity, such as balancing, aiming, running, or even just not falling over. While they suffer from this condition, I gain a +1 enhancement on the same kinds of actions. This condition ends when you reclaim your awareness, or the victim spends an action which cannot be part of a mixed action to reset themselves. So basically, if I'm in a tight-roping competition, I'm going to win hands down.
Patrick has 2 relics, one from this book and one that isn't, but I mean, we must point out which one it is anyways. Can't get my hand over there. He's got Giant's Bane. It's the gun behind me. Now go ahead and tell us about your Space Whip.
My chest holsters is just a normal Glock, and then there's like a revolver that's like hanging down from just the pure weight of the handle. The relic from this game, though, is called Space Whip. Now you know what you're thinking. Why do you need a whip when you have a gun? No. This is the whip the kids refer to as when they're talking about cars. Space Whip is beneath the rotting hood of a dilapidated 1989 Geo Metro. A faint light glows, nearly imperceptible even in the pitch darkness of the abandoned garage in which it slumbers. Within its otherwise empty gullet, a tangle of copper wires binds a haphazardly angled stone that whirls with dust and pinpoints of starlight. Through some confusing apparatus, this mess nonetheless capable capably propels the tiny vehicle down any highway, and if the delicate controls sitting in lieu of a steering column are properly orchestrated, even on those strange interstates that run between and beyond the stars. Fortunately, though, the headlamps shine with a radiance that is not light. Some alchemical treatment of the windows provides sight even in the lightless expanses between worlds. Also, it gets great gas mileage. The knack it provides is the space whip never runs out of fuel, and once per week, I can travel to any Terra Incognito.
So good. Okay, so now that we've touched on all the characters, before we dive into the world, we're going to go over Purview innate powers, because Mythos Purviews, like all other Purviews in Scion, have innate powers that everyone gets access to if you have points in the Purview. So, starting with Arcane Calculus, the signature Purview of the Mythos. When performing analysis, research, or surveying investigation actions, you gain +1 enhancement. You can ignore up to 1 complication from such actions that would lead you to misinterpret the information gained. That one's handy. Nobody has wild, correct? Nobody has points in water? War, anybody got points in war?
Ew.
Okay.
I do.
The innate power for war is whenever you are involved in a conflict, not just physical, any conflict will do, +2 enhancement to actions that further the conflict rather than solving the conflict. Has anybody got sun points? Stars. I know Sean has stars. Once per scene. Wait, do you?
Callings or purviews?
Purviews.
Yes, I have stars.
As do I.
Once per scene, you can divine the unknowable from the stars. You can ask me a single question about the possible outcomes of an action you or one of your bandmates is about to take, and I have to tell you the truth. Sky, I don't think anyone has that. Prosperity, no. Passion, nobody had passion today. Order, no.
I have order.
No, you have order. Okay. You embody entropy, sapping useful energy. Energy vampire. From spaces and creating randomness and disorder. You can drain any battery, phone, car, flashlight, whatever, within a short range of its charge, or short out an electrical outlet in the same range without a roll. The lost charge dissipates and becomes useless.
So are these innate powers granted by purviews different than the innate powers from the core Scion?
If you have one with the same wording, yes, these are the inverted versions because you're a Mythos Scion.
Okay, so we get these instead of the
Correct.
ones that you usually get in Scion.
Correct.
Roger.
Does anyone have moon? Journeys. Health.
I do. Oh,
You have
I
journeys?
Journeys, yeah.
You always know a back passage, a secret route, or a hidden portal to get where you're going. If a secret door or a hidden passage exists, you find it immediately without having to roll unless it's obscured by magic. If you need a secret route through or out of a place, you find one. It did not exist previously.
I like it.
Health. Frost. Somebody had frost, right? Oh, access but no points, yes. Anyone put points in fortune? Forge. Fire. Fertility. Epic strength. Epic stamina would be
I
Sean.
had epic strength.
Oh, do you?
I have-
Okay.
Yeah.
Epic strength. When you use might to impress or intimidate, allies gain +1 enhancement to their next action, and enemies suffer +1 complication the next time they act against you or your allies. Stamina. Whenever you're suffering injury conditions, reduce the complication imposed by what? That's handy. Epic dexterity.
Me.
Your body is extremely flexible, allowing you to perform amazing feats of gymnastics, even going so far as dislocating your joints and bending your bones to slither through improbable spaces or move into irregular shapes. It's awesome.
Sick.
Earth. Deception.
I have transcendent deception.
Oh. You can change minor aspects of your appearance at a whim. You cannot change set physical aspects, height, weight, or voice, but all other cosmetic aspects can change. Anyone attempting to recognize you is a +3 complication. It's real good for a con artist.
Mm-hmm.
Death.
Does Transcendent give me anything cool?
No, it doesn't look like it.
Okay.
Yes,
I think
have
it's just a
death,
shortened wording in the document, actually.
but I've got it already.
Okay, you've got the innate power for deception.
Yep, sense
I mean,
presence
death,
of death
sorry.
and decay anywhere within a medium range.
Yep. Can also detect ghosts and undead.
Yep.
Darkness. Chaos.
I have that one too. Chaos follows me wherever I go, rippling away from you and upending normally ordered things. All creating a +1 complication for anyone attempting to act while in close range of me.
I put that in Discord for you, Ever, because you had it too.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ever.
Oh, no, you're fine.
Oh, good.
Beauty. Beasts. Artistry. You have artistry, Sean?
Music, yeah.
You draw inspiration and creativity from the people around you whenever you're near someone who is performing, creating art, or otherwise doing something creative, +3 enhancement to your own creative abilities. Okay. And thus ends talking about the characters. Now let's talk about the game itself. This game actually provides a unique area you can play in called the Miskatonic Hollow, which basically covers what is sometimes referred to as Lovecraft Country. We're going to talk about that a little bit to get you, as players and the audience, ready for your setting. So, there is an inescapable strangeness about the mighty Miskatonic River and the land it drains. Oops, we lost the camera. Who'd we lose?
It's me.
Okay. There is an inescapable strangeness about the mighty Miskatonic River and the land it drains. Some of it comes from the mundane machinations of humanity. Some of it seems to ooze from the very land itself. There are also many alien forces that have long inhabited this troubled watershed, causing otherness to become an integral part of the valley's uncanny terrain. The Miskatonic Valley occupies a large swath of Essex County running south of the Merrimack and Ipswich basins and north of the Charles River and Boston Harbor. The river itself empties out of the north coastal region of Massachusetts and into the turbid Atlantic. The county includes Salem, Newberry, and Methuen. The Miskatonic's headwaters emerge from springs west of isolated Dunwich, wending eastward down among eerily rounded hills, cutting through the middle of insular Arkham, emptying into the Atlantic just north of the strange and dreamy city of Kingsport. Up the coast lies militant Innsmouth, where newcomers are seldom welcomed. The valley's natural landscapes project a sense of foreboding. Streams twist over tortured topography, disappearing into unknown cavities, only to re-emerge from surprising recesses. Glaciers left behind cyclopean formations of granite, undulating moraines, and giant irregular boulders carried from unknown distant places. Back roads snake past abandoned farm communities and derelict mills, while branches of elderly trees arc and encroach on travelers from above. The coast is crowded with hidden bays, toothy rock formations, shipwrecking shoals, and barrier islands. Visitors passing through are often left wondering why the Miskatonic area exudes such an atmosphere of primordial unease. Strange entities had taken root long before the time of glaciers, including the Migo, Serpent People, Yithians, Elder Things, and many more besides. Some left relics behind, including remote woodland altars, sculptured caverns, and rings of standing stones clearly not placed by glacier or human hands. Indigenous people of the Miskatonic Valley farmed upland tidal waters and maintained seasonal fishing camps along the coasts. People who would later galvanize under a confederacy known as Wampanoag, including the Agawam of Essex County. Hope I said that one right. And the Namkiag tribe near Salem, grappled and staved off Mythos forces for countless generations before Europeans arrived. In the early 17th century, English settlers from the Massachusetts Bay Colony brought devastating diseases, slavery, aggressive religious conversion, and forced conscription for warfare among foreign powers, which suppressed and all but erased long oral histories of indigenous triumphs, losses, and alliances with inhuman inhabitants. Miskatonic is a nonsense name given by early European settlers who likely appropriated poorly overheard indigenous words that were never corrected. The Europeans carved out plantations and exploited trade in slavery and sugarcane from the Caribbean, exporting fish, lumber, and beef. Later waves of industry in the 19th and 20th centuries brought textile and paper mills, and waves of migration from places such as Southern Europe, French Canada, Russia, and Ireland, as well as African Americans fleeing campaigns of murder and terrorism in southern states during the Great Migration. Contemporary Miskatonic Valley continues to wend through the ruins of a layered past. The basin's identity remains forever haunted by symbols and myths of early European colonization pulled into the destructive impulse of nostalgia for earlier eras, even as so many of its residents look to revise and cut new roads out of aimless cow paths, some of which probably have strange colors, and into a better future. It functions now as a post-industrial anachronism, as a living collision of global community, and a confluence of roiling cultural currents. As a nest for mythos entities, the valley has an uncanny way of elongating and distorting the shadows of its history. To begin this story, you will be in the city of Kingsport, which we're now going to hear about from Patrick.
Yes, Kingsport. It's quite a big population. I mean, I'm just biased. I live in little Lakeland, Florida, of 70,000 or so people. To note that a good 35% of Kingsporters are foreign-born, which is double the national average. So there's a rich culture here. Large Hispanic, Latino, African American, as well as Eastern European and Middle Eastern representation. The major town mascot is Rusty, a Northern American porcupine. I thought everyone should know that. It's quite important.
I dig it.
Kingsport is a city of dreamers and broken dreams. It calls out like a beacon for the lost and displaced, sending signals through a distorted Fresnel lens. Its essence is surreal. Under facades of coastal New England timelessness and colonial charm lurks a dynamo illusionist. This city's history is marked by wanderers who disappear, waves of immigration from overseas, and people seeking safe harbor in a turbid world. Kingsport has a way of holding on to its dreamers, of constructing a maze of confusion around residents in its thrall. Many Kingsporters share a common story, washed up in Kingsport, hoping to find brief shelter and sanctuary, and then stayed much longer than expected for reasons that escape explanation. The sheltered bay of Kingsport, which cuts sharply into the northern coast of Massachusetts, provided a rich tidal mudflat for the coastal Agawam people to gather fish, clams, crustaceans, and other fruits of the sea. Its most prominent feature is Kingsport Head, a steep bluff of granite that surges skyward from the coast. There are no summits along Massachusetts shores that are even remotely as high. The cliffs spawned indigenous legends of love stories and family intrigues, all of which end in tragedy or plummeting murder. Other tales warn of over-curious characters who wander too close to the foreboding Stygian tidal caves at the foot of the cliffs. The first European arrival was a small colony of English castaways bound for Virginia in 1623, when a gale blew them off course and onto the jagged rocks submerged under Kingsport Bay. The group did not survive its first winter. Its leaders chose to set up camp against the bluff in the shadow of Kingsport Head, exposed to weather and failing to account for seasonal shifts in wind direction. Many died, though some survivors fled to other colonies and lived to recount their horrors. A second colony, sponsored by the Dorchester Company, set down roots in 1630, building on the abandoned ruins of the first. Abundant food and easy reach made Kingsport Bay a tempting place to linger, but salty land and uncooperative weather made farming arduous and unproductive. Several Kingsport residents fell victim to the same witch panic of 1692 that claimed so many Massachusetts victims, associated most with nearby Salem, where many have now embraced the problematic history as a tourist attraction. 3 Kingsporters, 2 women and 1 man, were convicted and hanged from a gibbet on the road to Arcane. These executions are rarely spoken of, and the family names of accusers and victims have been changed to shed shameful associations. The site bears a humble bronze placard now, overgrown with raspberry brambles and rarely visited. In time, Kingsport developed into a fishing village. The colony expanded into a jumble of stout buildings made from white pine and red oak, a few of which remain today. Aside from the brooding presence of Kingsport Head, land near the bay features steep hills known as the Three Sisters. They are named Beacon Hill, Central Hill, and Grave Hill. Below them, an underground river flows through a karst-like network, segments emerging like darning stitches in scattered parks, exposed hillsides, or running through root cellars of ancient homes. Sloped graveyards look down from the hills, concealing buried secrets. Along the shore, rotten wharves perched on barnacled pylons sway precariously with the tides. Geological quirks and inconsistent bedrock cause the town's map to grow in strange ways. Roads wend haphazardly and aimless. Labyrinthine alleys and angular stairways twist drunkenly up slopes, while tiers of houses pile up on one another, like the strewn blocks of children. The front door of one house often looks onto the roof or chimney pot of another. The city seems to repel parallel lines. Kingsporters have long joked about the ease of getting lost. There's 10 ways to get from here to there, and none of them are right. Frequent ground fog adds to its reputation as a city of disorientation. In the early 18th century, Kingsport also became known as a center of religious freedom due to Quaker influence and language in the town charter, likely inspired by Sir William Penn. Church steeples from its obscure sects blossomed in the skyline like daffodils after a spring thaw. Only a few European Kingsporters fought in King Philip's War in 1675, but across New England the land was stained with blood, with 40% of the entire Wampanoag population killed, and many captives of war, as well as allies, sold into slavery. The Agawam people, who occupied land around Kingsport and Cape Ann, largely abstained from the war and instead assimilated into European communities under protection of English law. By the time of the Revolutionary War, Kingsport had mostly stayed away from conflict, with a pacifist streak among town elders and an isolationist approach to politics. Most were neither loyalist nor revolutionary. Those who wanted to join the fight moved to Danvers, Ipswich, or other nests of resistance along the coast. The 19th and 20th centuries saw Kingsport transform from fishing village to an industrial textile mill town, with waves of factories workers immigrating from Southern Europe, Ireland, and French-speaking Canada. These newcomers were treated with suspicion, resentment, and xenophobia by a Protestant majority across New England, with many empowered bigots in Kingsport and the rest of the Miskatonic Valley sowing fear of newcomers with particular fervor. In modern times, contemporary Kingsport is a weird, faceted community with the forces of industry, tourism, past and present, in tension and concert. Some new arrivals find the town's strangeness exhilarating and alluring. People tend to wash up in Kingsport and get stuck or lost. The demographics of Kingsport shift rapidly. Pockets of foreign-born communities crop up and thrive as Kingsport policy of open doors welcomes them. While many have moved on to larger cities, small neighborhoods of people fleeing strength remain anchored here. Portuguese, Italian, German, Polish, Franco-American, Chinese, and Russian Jews arrived in the mid-20th century. Later waves of arrivals included Vietnamese, Cambodian, Central American, Serbian, Sudanese, Somali, Afghan, Angolan, East Timorese, Uyghur, and many other small communities. Some neighborhoods feel like windows into far-flung nations. In the 80s and 90s, refugee communities came mostly from Southeast Asia and the former Soviet Union, as well as Serbia, Bosnia, and other parts of the former Yugoslavia. Nowadays, arrivals are coming from Iraq, Syria, Burundi, Rwanda, the Congo, Angola, Djibouti, and Ethiopia. In 1985, Kingsport chapter of Catholic Charities launched a refugee resettlement program that was enabled under the Refugees Act of 1980. Over the years, the group has supported waves of immigrants and asylum seekers fleeing conflict or disaster, and the municipal government has supported these arrivals with services of their own. Kingsport has refugees and asylees from more than 24 countries, and students in the city's public school system speak more than 60 languages other than English. The city provides special services for health, adult education, and other resources to help newcomers get on their feet. While many Kingsporters welcome new arrivals, some resent the city's support for refugees as a drain on taxes and a threat to American traditions. Code for the status quo of white New Englanders. This is a small but outspoken xenophobic minority that expresses opposition in demonstration and newspaper editorials. These voices have recently ramped up their public rhetoric, and there have been increasing incidents of violence and harassment in the city. Refugees and asylees often face difficult mental health issues and cultural shock when they arrive, adapting from harrowing struggles in countries of origin to an alien world, shattered identity, onset of PTSD, overall displacement, and discrimination. Successive waves of newcomers in Kingsport over the years have stratified the town into groups of new residents and old residents, legacy communities and new communities, insiders and outsiders. Some of the oldest families with ties to colonial founders harbor a sense of entitlement and privilege over new arrivals, while many town elders embrace what they see as a welcoming attitude towards immigrants, contributing generously to charities or opening the doors of their homes to host displaced people. Good deeds come with strings and expectations. New arrivals often struggle with feelings of being lost and stuck in an alien world. The cycle of more established Kingsporters discriminating in subtle ways against newer communities has repeated over generations. Less subtle tensions sometimes escalate to violence. Kingsport is no stranger to drug addiction. Massachusetts has been hit hard in recent years in a wave of opioid use, and methamphetamines and designer club drugs have lingered for years. The state has recognized Kingsport's higher rates of addiction, and the city receives extra funding for treatment. Miskatonic University's School of Public Health has launched several experimental pilot programs to collect data and explore alternatives. Kingsport generally welcomes the supplemental funding, but none of the external programs have shown much success. Homeless shelters and centers in Kingsport are overflowing, and services are strained. Several factors may cause unusual rates, including the city's reputation for providing meals and beds, the copious hidden spaces and sheltering overhangs that peppers the city's chaotic design, and a historically accommodating law enforcement approach. It's also possible that the greenish flame has been calling out to wandering minds. Whatever the cause, homeless numbers are peaking, and camps have cropped up in tucked away spots. And that is the state of Kingsport, Massachusetts.
Quick note to the audience and the players. The greenish flame is one of the mythos entities none of you are Scion, so a particularly creepy one. Ever, please give us a rundown of key locations in the city you will be investigating a mystery in.
Absolutely. Also, can I just say, love how much detail is in that, just the whole economy and everything. That's really cool.
Yes, this is a very immersive setting. I love it.
You should totally back the Kickstarter then, Ever, and you can just get even more insight and knowledge into all of these places of Lovecraftian country.
That's correct.
Oh my god, Patty, when does the Kickstarter begin?
Well, it's funny you should ask that, Ever. The Kickstarter begins, Tyler, insert date here.
Next Tuesday at 2 p.m.
Next Tuesday at 2 p.m. Kickstarter.com. Look, you can just search Onyx Path Publishing or Scion Mystic Mythos.
And make sure you check for the tier where you can get this awesome manuscript and read all this immersive stuff.
Forget that tier, Tyler. You should
I'm
check
getting
the
the hardcover.
highest tier. You should check the tier that's like, I am secretly a distributor. I want 5 copies of this game, because then you could read 5 things at once.
I can tell you, I'm gonna need this hardcover on my shelf. All right, Ever, carry on.
Thank you for running with that for me. Key locations of Kingsport. Circle Square. Damn it. Circle Square. In the approximate center of the city.
Circle takes the square?
No, Circle Square. Sorry. Normally I'd call that a squircle, but this is serious business. In the approximate center of the city, between the Three Sisters, is the Old Town Commons, where colonists held public markets, previously known as Circle Court. The shape of this area has changed over the years, leading residents to start calling it Circle Square as an in-joke. I live here, apparently. The name was officially changed in the 1970s when the area was the stage of many public demonstrations. The square, now more of a rhomboid, remains cobbled and has been preserved as a pedestrian-only zone to encourage people to patronize downtown businesses, an effort that has only been modestly successful. Many of the city's oldest buildings ring the border. Circle Square is home of the city's chapter of the Massachusetts Office for Refugees and Immigrants, known as ORI, which resides in an ancient-looking storefront with diamond-paned windows, where the upper story overhangs the square in a mock medieval style. This office is a center of activity and community for many foreign-born residents, where free English classes are conducted most weekday evenings. Rusty. On a pedestal in the center of the square, there is a hunched, strange-looking anthropomorphic figure made of wrought iron mounted on a pedestal of pink granite. The sculpture, nicknamed Rusty, depicts in crude detail a North American porcupine standing on his hind legs and howling at the sky. Rusty is the mascot of Kingsport. An apocryphal legend recalls the first European colonists blown off course during a storm while en route to Virginia. The desperate castaways saw shadows scuttling on the shore and prayed it was game. But when a small hunting party landed ashore, a porcupine ambushed the group and skewered them all with its quills. The Hall High School adopted the porcupine as its mascot in the late 1950s. It's my kind of mascot. In 1978, the city commissioned folk artist Eduardo Silva to make a metal statue of the mascot. The result was controversial. His creation is an abstract anthropomorphic creature that stands in a tortuous, hunched position, exaggerated quills curving out of its back like a bouquet of sabers. The town council nearly voted against placing it in Circle Square, but it was installed despite protests. The controversy flared up again when the new casino unveiled an image of a cartoon porcupine wearing a Minuteman's tricorner hat as its brand logo. Burying ground. One of the Three Sister Hills has long been used as a cemetery. Many of the remains from the first English castaway group were interred in the hillside. Some stones mark multiple graves dug hastily before the ground froze that tragic winter. Many were never marked at all. In later years, plots were more structured, but occasionally graves are disturbed as the community's need for space grows. Most Kingsport residents currently use a graveyard on the edges of the city limits on the way to Arkham. There are rumors that the lost dead still wander the city in search of their own gravestones. Bridge City. 2 short bridges span over a section of Kingsport's River in a spot downtown where subterranean waters surface. The structures provide shelter for a small homeless tent community that is entrenched there. Bridge City expands and contracts with the seasons, but is largely left alone by Kingsport law enforcement as long as its residents remain out of view and do not attract attention. Bridge City enforces its own rules, maintaining its invisibility, informally appointing its own mayor and council, governing itself as a neighborhood hidden on the fringes of society. Kingsport Harbor. Fishing boats, cruisers, marine patrol enforcers, beefy tugs, and whale watch liners crowd the waters of Kingsport Bay. Slips, wharves, and marinas skirt the town shoreline from one end to the other. Marine traffic is busy, and the channels are tight around rocky shallows and tidal mudflats. Fish shacks, weathered eateries, abandoned warehouses, and bric-a-brac shops contour the shoreline. Minuteman Casino. A crushing economic slump hit Kingsport in the 80s and 90s, shuttering down businesses and turning the once thriving city into a gallery of abandoned buildings. The city teetered on the edge of solvency. Town leaders, desperate for investment, accepted one sketchy tax abatement scheme after another. None bore fruit. The most recent is a grand hotel and casino built on a peninsula on the south end of Kingsport Harbor. The project involved a long saga of community division, public outcry, and state house shenanigans to get the gaming license approved for the newly named Minuteman Casino. Historians and Kingsport's old-timers roll eyes over the marketing. Kingsporters largely abstained from the Revolutionary War. Complaints persist, but the casino has added jobs to the city for the first time in many years. The addition has also drawn a new population of lost residents. Slot machines attract rows of hopeful gamers, retirees, and those with stubborn compulsions whose fortunes slowly drain into the seductive flashing lights. The casino's green light also sparked outrage from a Wampanoag tribe that was not federally recognized until 2007. The tribe has an application in the works for a casino on Cape Ann. Tribal members do not appreciate the competition or the fast-track speed with which Kingsport Minuteman project was handled. And that's all.
Thank you. When the scene begins, you're going to be in Large March's Donut Bar having your weekly band breakfast because you're a band of Scions. But we must figure out why you're a band of Scions. How did you all meet each other? Who was first?
I got on the Reddit forums and looked for people who like donuts.
I just showed up when everyone else did.
It says in my character's write-up that she was given a task by Albtrum, but the task is not defined in the write-up, so their god certainly could have been like, go to New England, meet people.
We could say yes, because you all, in the long form game, you'd all have deeds you want to accomplish, band deeds and individual deeds to raise your legend. So we weren't really super worrying about that because it's short form story. But yes, one of your deeds could be increase your cult, find allies, something of portent is going to happen on this coast.
And my character, Lena, would have immediately gravitated to whoever appears the wealthiest.
Which of you is that again?
That'd either be myself or
Possibly my character.
or Kurt, maybe.
Definitely not me.
Definitely not me.
How do you determine your wealth?
Kind of make it up.
Oh,
Well, my character actually, it says in his description that he's lived for centuries amassing wealth and power.
That would be you, yes.
Yeah.
Like a vampire.
Pretty much.
Lena would definitely insinuate herself or ingratiate herself to Malcolm.
Which of you is the body jumper?
Me.
Ever, yes. Okay. That actually works kind of well. All right. So the band was started. Dwayne's character searching for donut lovers on Reddit. That's not how he met Lena or Ever's character.
Or Marius.
We got to fill a gap there. Which of you? Actually, yeah.
Marius is very much the guy that goes to a donut barn and gets only the black coffee.
Lena,
He's not interested in your donuts.
Lena's entity, however, is an entity of eternal hunger. We could use that in a moment, but yes, we'll say that's how you met the rock star.
well, you see, Kurt came to Kingsport.
Just wanted free food.
Well, no, not so much that, but like he's literally eaten nothing but donuts for like 3 weeks because he feels like it's giving him inspiration for his next song about how a donut represents the secular destruction of life itself, but the rebirth and the love that is the donut itself, because donuts are good, but donuts are bad because they represent evil, because they make you
Buy that for $1.
obese. Yeah. He's literally been spewing that deep, stupid garbage for like 3 weeks in a corner. And he like strums on his guitar every once in a while.
By the end of this Kickstarter, I want to hear the lyrics. So
I'm not writing lyrics, dude. That's not happening.
Why did
Somebody
that sound like
can,
one
though.
of my art projects?
Yes. I was going to say, one of us could. Now, Dwayne, your character, probably for the first month or two or however long, thought that Sean's character thought that Kurt was like a homeless, starving artist because his clothes are always dirty. Probably smells like the cheapest cologne possible if he smells nice at all. His hair hasn't been cut and it's greasy. Then he invited you over to his pad one night, and it's like a penthouse. Because he's a rock star. You're like, what? So that was your impression of Kurt.
Who'd you murder for this?
Nah, man, like, you see...
Kurt forgets he owns it sometimes.
Right, the righteous in the music provides.
So, that's
Yeah.
how you two met. Evan's character is which mythos god again? I forgot already.
Yog-Sothoth. I would be the one that saw it in the greater plan of everything and just knew it was something that I would need to do.
You probably would have been attracted to Sean's character, recognizing the truth behind the music. As a purveyor of gates and passageways, it's the ultimate gate, the gate to the center of everything. So,
Weren't you a student at the university?
I was.
they forced him out, and that was like 50 years ago,
Okay.
or however long in his age. Or age.
So no one's a current student. No one's a current student.
I don't know if I currently am.
No, you were forced to graduate.
That was me. They forced me to graduate.
Oh,
That's what I'm saying. Because I not only did I go there, but I used to teach there. So if anyone's a current student, they might have heard of me.
Yeah, I don't think I'm a current student. I think it's been a couple years.
Oh, then I might have actually taught you then, because I've been kicked out for a couple of years.
I don't know. It almost seems like I'm like 18 years old. Maybe not even that.
I mean, it seems like that, but most of these Scions are not what they seem. So, you want to add a layer of dirt and grit on top of that? Maria is your secret sordid relationship for when she was your student?
Yes.
No, that's not the man Marius is. He's not.
No. Wait, no, that's not you. That's Ever. I apologize. I was thinking you were the body jumper. Could have been Loofs, but no.
Do any of you worship? Which one of you worships? Or not worships, but which one use the Scion of Nyarlathotep?
Nyarlathotep.
Yes,
Ever.
That's you. Okay, because your god's the one that came and fucked my life up. Like literally, he came to me as a student and was like, "Yo, what's up, homie? You want to like help me find things? I'm a student." I'm like, "Sure." And I found some forbidden knowledge. And the university's like, "Get out, just leave."
What can I say except you're welcome?
I mean, no.
So you'd totally hate me if I'm the one who did that.
So it's not that I hate him for doing that. I'm just I wonder why he did that. Like I was just chilling, living life.
Because you, Chaos. Hello, gotta like. You were too boring. Gotta shake it up a bit.
Yeah, but why? I was already a Scion of a different god. Why shake my life up in that?
Because that god was a goody two shoes.
Okay, all right. Listen.
I think we can connect Patty's character to Lena pretty easily, if you want. Patty received dreams and visions about of the coming portent when Lena arrived in town as you share gods of the depths, gods of the abyss. And you
Yeah,
were
that
just
works.
naturally, the pull brought you together. Whether or not he was allies or enemies is yet to be seen.
Yeah, I probably would have started by like being my private investigator self and like just kind of following from a distance.
Mhm.
Like, what's up with this? Why we got more Scions coming in my town?
And you met the rock star. And
Oh, the rock stars! I immediately was pegged as like, okay, like I just need to always kind of know what he is because it's weird that this guy is just chilling in my town.
also, you as the Scion of Deep Mysteries would probably also realize he's dangerous. If
Yeah.
you were to recreate the right chords, you could summon Asadoth and end all. Devin's character. What's your backstory again?
My backstory was from Arkham. Went through the war.
Oh, right, you're the World War I vet.
Mm-hmm. And I know that I'm the eye of the storm of what's to come.
So you're mostly there because you were drawn to Asadoth.
Mm-hmm.
So that leaves how do we connect Ever's body jumper? You could say that as a previous Scion of Loof, you actually knew the body Ever now is in.
Eric? Could have body jumped into a student of mine.
That guy didn't know he was a Scion, but he was, so it's possible you had uncovered that secret, trying to keep an eye on him, and then his personality changed overnight. Weird.
And that's when you discovered all the secrets.
And that's when I was like, all right, me and Cthulhu, we tight now.
Yeah,
We're
that
homies.
could be you dug too deep into what was going on. You're like, wait, I've never seen that necklace before. Let me look up that necklace. What is this? Yeah. That actually
Oh
kinda
God,
works.
my brain. It feels like it's drowning and it's going to explode all at the same time.
So yes, we'll say that is how the band was connected, so you know what your closer and the more distant relationships with each other would be. So when this particular day begins, you have contacts, the rest of them don't. I gotta start using character names, not your names. The other characters don't marry us because you're a former Scion of Loof. As such, when things happen, it's going to be you that's the trigger. But you can begin in the diner having donuts and black coffee. This particular diner chain is full service breakfast too.
Oh, okay, all right. If I wasn't sure if Lord Marge's Donut Barn had, was just kind of continental style, or if it's like Dunkin' and you can get actual breakfast there.
Oh no, it serves all but nothing but breakfast.
Right.
Okay.
But it's
Fair.
known for its apple cider donuts.
Yep.
Okay.
24/7.
Well, I have never and will never eat a donut, but Marius for sure. Black coffee and eggs and bacon.
I'd like my coffee as strong as some witch's brew, thanks.
Lena is having a spa breakfast of fruit, yogurt, granola, and scrambled egg whites.
Black coffee and one of those apple cider donuts.
Maria is going to have hot chocolate and large-eared mouse-shaped pancakes.
Okay.
They don't have any calamari right now, do they?
Breakfast only.
Damn.
They
When
do
I
have a
asked
seafood,
that,
they have
I
a seafood omelet though.
Ooh,
Oh,
seafood
when I
omelet.
asked that, I give a particular look to Patty's character.
Eh.
How many donuts are in front of you, Kurt?
14. Because he ordered.
Because a dozen is 14.
A dozen is 14.
Yeah.
He has like 4 cups of coffee in front of him, each like at a different stage of dunking a donut in the coffee, and he's muttering something about the donuts drowning in the coffee like all of us are drowning in our life.
They're all different flavors of coffee, too.
In the coffee, you see, represents life and how all the things in it, and you drown in it. Because
Do you need a hug?
No, I'm fine. I'm eating donuts.
Oh, okay.
Why would I not be fine?
No reason in
Okay.
particular.
Though
Anyway,
it may seem strange, she's actually entirely correct.
I grabbed one of his donuts.
Is that one of the reasons why I was another reason why I was like drawn to Kurt is because all I can smell on him is the sense of death. So he's talking about dead things.
He's
So
just
talking about death.
more of a morose motherfucker than anything
Drowning
else.
in coffee.
No, see, it's not about death. It's about the life that once the donut is dunked in the mess that is the coffee that is life, and it comes out and it's seeped with life, and you eat it and it enters you, and it's righteous, man.
Now, here's the best part. He talks like that, but when he plays, because you've been to a couple of the clubs he plays at and he has albums out, it is like the weirdest mix of gothic rock and pure death metal.
Can you do like do you have a metal scream? Like, can you?
Yes.
Oh man. Okay.
Almost Korn level.
I'm not doing it right now. Maybe later.
Definitely Disturbed worthy.
Okay.
I actually pictured that particular picture in Discord when I saw this character in my head. Yes. In the middle of your uplifting conversation, cell phone noise. Your cell phone makes a noise there. Marius.
Marius would have one of the last flip phones in existence.
With the default ringtone, probably.
What is
Yeah,
it with you
yes.
people in your flip phones?
Now, strangely, the Miskatonic Hollow is in the modern era, but it's kind of out of time. So there's probably a lot of flip phones around. There's probably even people still using like Blackberries here.
I do this really cool thing though, where it's a flip phone and it's definitely pre-Bluetooth. But all I have to do is just take the phone in my pocket, put it on the table, and I talk as if I had a Bluetooth headset in, and the phone is answered automatically without me flipping it open or pressing an answer call.
Okay. What you see is a voicemail, but it sends you a message like that little sign next to it when it says this came in earlier, but you were prevented from getting the message, like a delayed voicemail.
Okay.
And the contact says, Ben. Ben is someone you knew before you were converted to Cthulhu. Ben is Ben Moore. He is a scion of Odin, but he's a scion of Odin who's kind of given up too little too late. He never fulfilled his fate. And so he just always kind of tried to achieve his glory, but not really. Like, when his moment passed him, he was always chasing a dream he could never fulfill. He kept trying to move forward, though, but it's always gotten steadily worse over the years as you've known him. He's scrappy and resilient, but, like, he'll go out and earn deeds of glory to, like, win awards and then hawk the awards for money, and that's the stage this poor guy's at. He's in his late 50s, balding, and long disillusioned with being a scion, but he's still your friend.
What's the voicemail say?
You click play. Do you click play so it's in your ear or just like speaker?
I'll do my ear first.
Are you trying to access my phone? Who's with you?
Who's sitting right next to Marius?
I envision myself sitting across from him and sitting next to Kurt.
Okay.
I would sit next to him.
Lena would want to be on the other side of Malcolm.
Kurt always
Who's it?
sits on the end.
Okay.
Marius
I
sits
feel
with
like
the door
Marius
to the
sits on
back.
the end too. I don't think he can cram
He sits
himself.
with it. And he would also sit with his back to a door.
Okay. So you're across from
Or
John's
not.
character.
back not to the
facing
door.
the door, right? Yeah, okay.
Yes, yeah, back not to the door. Sorry.
Yeah, so you're across from Sean's character who doesn't care what's happening at the door. These donuts are life. So whoever's next to you, I believe Devin said that was him.
Yes.
Sure.
You hear this too because it's loud. Mate! Oh God, mate! I need your help. I fucked up big time. This damn painting. It's. Please come at 8 tomorrow. 8 in the morning. Don't be late. For the love of God, man. I just can't. I can't. I'm at Armstead Spire. The code is 6125. It's apartment 406. Oh God! Click. Very loud. Very frantic. Unlike him. It's a sign of Odin. I mean, he's emotional, but he doesn't get scared. He punches scared in the face.
Simultaneously, like waving down like another cup of coffee, I'll just open up the flip phone and without pressing any buttons, I will replay the message out loud for everyone.
Okay.
If your friend is so in peril, why does he want you to wait till 8 in the morning tomorrow?
Today.
Kind of
That's a
painting?
delayed message. He should have gotten that last night. It means in 45 minutes.
I assume it's well
7:15
past-
a.m. right now.
Oh, it's
Wow.
not 8 o'clock yet?
7:15 a.m. You always meet for an early breakfast.
When
I'm impressed that Kurt wakes up this early.
Kurt hasn't been to bed yet.
hasn't
What are
gone
you
to
talking
bed.
about?
Oh, okay, fair enough.
This is Kurt's dinner.
No, we don't see your butt. Come here.
I just look at my watch and say, we could still make that.
I mean, there's like more donuts here to
It's
eat.
called a doggy bag.
Oh,
Get it to go.
They're already in a box.
The donuts are the dogs.
You know,
Yes.
I'm gonna assume just based on the way things go in my universe that the painting probably murdered your friend and we're too late.
So what you're saying is we shouldn't go because if we
Oh no, I
go,
want to see.
Oh, all right. Let's go. Let's finish some donuts and go see a horror mess.
Well, yeah, we definitely need to go and find out how he died, if he died.
How do you split the tab?
Kurt will pay for everything.
Kurt pays for everything.
Oh.
Yeah, disheveled, greasy hair, hasn't washed that shirt in a week. Kurt pulls out an American Express black.
Out of his.
He actually has no idea what that means. He just knows it really pays for stuff.
You've got people to pay the credit card bill.
Right, and the accountant takes care of it.
Pulls that out of his underwear too. It's not even in his pocket.
No, that's gross. He has a fanny pack. Get it right.
Oh, okay.
As
Big
Marius,
goth fanny pack though with chains and spikes.
as Marius has done for the last 3 years, every single day, he'll leave $1.50, an actual dollar, and 2 actual quarters on the table, and take his large copy to go.
You can tell that by picking up everybody's check, you have attracted Lena's attention.
Malcolm
You
notices.
have not been able to figure out yet how rich he is because you haven't seen his penthouse. He's an enigma, this one.
And make sure to finish my donut.
So, Armstead Spire, the building, we'll just jump to the building for the sake of time, is a grayish building reaching 7 stories skyward and surrounded by fog billowing off the water from behind it, such that it almost blends seamlessly into the background and could be easily missed. The sleepy lane has no traffic, even though it's technically rush hour. The building itself is 1980s style and has never been renovated or upgraded. Has no elevator, only a single well-used spiral staircase. You ascend to the 4th floor and get good calf workouts. Once on the 4th floor, you see door 406. Your friend's apartment.
I will
Is there a
cash
keypad?
just
Walk up to the door and
1980s, never renovated. There's no keypad.
yeah. I assume it's got the chain lock and normal lock, so I'll just bam, bam, bam.
Will you knock for several minutes if there is no answer? Seems like that's a thing you do.
If he doesn't answer somewhat promptly after the first knock, I will check for signs of essentially what a cop would look for probable cause.
You don't see any evidence that it was broken into. It's normal. The door is undamaged and locked from the inside, like it would be if you went to bed normally.
Any weird sounds or the light that comes out underneath or a smell that comes out from underneath the door? That's weird.
Yeah, do I sense any dead things?
How does that work exactly?
You can sense the presence of death and decay anywhere within medium range.
Decay. No dead bodies. No, you don't sense a corpse, but you sense decay inside the apartment. A lot of it.
Oh.
Do you say that? Do you say that?
I smell dead people.
So,
All right. Being a private eye and not a cop, I don't really have authority to go kicking down doors. So,
no, you're good. I can help you.
From my private, plus it's my friend's door. So from my private eye toolkit, I will take out my lock picking set and just attempt to pick this man's lock.
Let's do it. Let's do the first roll. Let's do a dexterity plus technology.
You're leaving evidence. I could find a secret route, hidden portal, or back passage.
You
Picking
could.
a lot's not really.
You could, but then you'd have to climb the fire escape.
Climbing sounds.
4 successes.
Oh, okay.
Wow. Wait, doesn't that make him? What's the thing?
No, because this is not a mythos roll yet. It has to be investigating something within, like, you'd have to see the painting or the crime scene or whatever. Otherwise,
No, picking the lock does not make me more crazy.
No, it's when you get 4 successes.
Critical success, that's 5.
It has to be directly on a mythos-related roll.
But yeah, awareness is like your crazy scale. The more awareness you have, the more powerful you are, the more crazy you are.
Okay.
Mythos crazy, not real life crazy.
Yes.
Yes, you successfully picked the lock, and you can pad away those 2 enhancements for later use.
Dope.
They will expire at the end of the scene, which the scene will carry over to next week. 'Cause you're about to hit your cliffhanger.
Okay.
So,
just very, very nimbly and quickly, and I immediately turn around, just like, entrez-vous.
I go first.
You do realize once you get the lock open, it has in fact been tampered with, but expertly, like with mad skill. You would only, I'm giving you that because of your enhancements. You're immediately assaulted when you open the door with the stench of death. It's so overwhelming that you all have a +1 complication in this room to anything because it's just real gross and bad. There's 4 rooms to the apartment: a living room, a bedroom, a bathroom, and a kitchenette. You can smell rotting flesh, waste matter, we all know what that means, and like a soily smell, wet, damp earth. The place is wrecked, showing signs of a sprawling battle that encompassed the entire apartment, destroying what little furniture there was, smearing the walls with gore everywhere. The living room's concrete walls are covered in fresh claw marks that appear to have easily cut through the stone. It is clear that many, many people died here. Something very bad and violent happened, and that's where we pause until next Tuesday.
Dun, dun, dun.
Get the fuck out.
Did you say many?
Man.
It's clear that, yes, that's way more blood than one person's body would have to cover an entire apartment.
Oh my.
Cool.
Well, audience, that's all the mythos awareness these Scions can handle for this week. But fret not, we will return next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern to continue this dark tale and find out the truth of things. As for other Onyx Path goodness you can enjoy with Vorpal Tales, you can catch me, EldritchEchoes, on Saturday on our channel running Deviant the Renegades in a story I call Radiation Burns. Every Tuesday for January and February, you'll see us playing Masks of the Mythos, and once we complete this story, Patty is going to run Dragon. You see all the new cool Scion stuff.
Gasp.
Kickstarter begins next Tuesday. Be there. Don't be square, unless you're circle square. Every Friday, we also play Scarred Lands, run by Patty, in a story called Dracogenesis. And starting in February, on Sundays, we'll be playing Mage 20th Anniversary Edition, a Mythos story entitled White Walls. And on Thursdays, Dwayne will be running Werewolf the Apocalypse 20th Anniversary Edition. No title to that story yet. Go to VorpalTales.com to see our calendar, including all our other awesome games outside of Onyx Path systems that we play every day of the week. And to get our social media links to Discord to come hang out with us, links to our past games on YouTube, and links to our Patreon. Scions of the Outer Dark, let the viewers know the next show they can catch you in with us, and any other thing you do outside of our show. It's cool.
Hey, I'm at Space Lord PJs, actually in pajamas, and tomorrow catch us playing Infinity. We start our story tomorrow after making characters 2 weeks ago, so it should be awesome. Should be great. I'm excited for it. You should be too.
I'm excited for it, and I'm not even in it. So, hey everybody, I have been Malcolm, whose pronouns were he, him, and I am now Ever, whose pronouns are they, them. You can find me all over the internet as Changeling Ever. Pretty much everywhere. And you can next find me Thursday for Grim Hollow Strange Aeons.
And we're encouraging Ever to self-promote because they don't like doing it.
And then you can find me on Etsy at Need & Co Designs.
It's awesome. You should check it out. The art is amazing.
How do you spell that?
I will put it in the Twitch chat.
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, you could go to our website, scroll down to the bottom. And
Links there too, yes. But yes, Put it in the Twitch chat. Put it everywhere. Splatter it. Next.
My name is Patrick. I was playing Marius, the Scion of Cthulhu. And you can find me on the internet at pettyshakes_. Next time you'll see my lovely face will be on this channel and our own playing Scarred Lands. Tyler did not give the full name, the full wonderful rock star name of our game.
I did not. Tell us.
Dracogenesis, Titan's Lament.
That's
our
the name of a Kurt album.
Yes, 100%. Our wonderful adventures witnessed a wonderful storytelling of the beginning and formation of the Earth after the Titans were, only to have the storyteller horribly murdered by a man they buried earlier in that day. Come check out the mystery and what they're going to do next with this horrible, horrible thing that's happened.
Hey, my name is Rachel. You can find me Stolen Fires pretty much everywhere. I've got a Twitter, I've got a Ko-Fi. You can see me on Twitch tomorrow. I'm going to be playing Scarred Lands with Plastic Age Plays. It's a lot of fun. It's an 8-person game, so it's a lot of happy chaos. And then the day after that, I will be back on the Onyx Path channel, running a Changeling game, set currently in Victorian London. One of my characters decided that he really wants to pick a fight with some technocrats. So that should be fun. And then
I'm gonna watch.
Yeah, and then Sundays I play Call of Cthulhu with Ever and Tyler, and it's a lot of fun. And that's it.
And I am Dwayne. I was playing Maria West tonight. You guys can find me on the internet at Made of Kimchi, and you will next see me on Thursday running the Grim Hollow Strange Aeon in Search of Sanity.
And I am Devin. You can find me online at Sword of Sully. Tonight I was playing Isaiah Baldwin, the Scion of Yog-Sothoth. And next time you can find me playing Friday in Patty's wonderful Scarred Lands game, where I was the one who was doing the last rites for the non-dead man. I probably should have buried him.
And now for our Ride or Die viewers, we do votes for the audience. From now until the end of our reel, it'll run once we're done. You can vote for any player for any reason. One vote per audience member. The cast member who gets your vote allows you to replenish one spent legend without fate binding.
Oh.
Also, the players vote for each other. They all get one vote to vote for any other player for any reason. Those votes are worth your choice of one free awareness renewal when spent without Mythos fate binding, or two free enhancements to use on any role in the future of the story.
Oh.
So in the same order, who do you vote for and why, players?
I'm going to go with. I mean, I vote for him a lot because he's my buddy, but playing the hard-boiled, grizzled PI detective, Patty gets my vote. Yeah.
I'm
Also, I'm going to point out here. Sorry, Ever, I almost forgot.
Oh, it's all good.
For those of you who have seen the Monday meeting notes on Onyx, or will see the cover art for Masters of the Mythos, I'm pretty sure that's your character, Patrick. Sans the hat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's because
And there's
Marion
one-
is a
one sexy
homie.
man. Yes, it is.
I'd like a warm hug from him.
And for anyone
doesn't give
curious,
warm
by the
hugs.
way, that art is by Victor Lacy. Awesome. Check that out. Next.
I am going to give my point to Sean for the amazing existentialism done with donuts.
Doesn't take much.
Let's see. Hard to do on this session. Wasn't a lot of actual character moments. So I'm going to change it up and give it to. I'm going to give it to Rachel. For this is the first time I'm playing with her, and it was nice to meet you, and nice to, get to
Nice
know
to
you a
meet you
little
as
bit.
well.
Get to know you a little bit in the role-playing way.
And I promise this is not at all nepotistic, but I was also going to give my vote to you, because
Oh.
that was some pretty epic narration.
Yeah,
Oh,
that was voiceover
very
work
cool.
there.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Oh, it's my turn then. I am also going to vote for Sean for just your character. I already hate him.
I too am voting for Sean because he's not playing a punchy character this time.
I know. I'm looking at my stats,
He's
just
not.
going, damn it.
Yep.
Yeah, Sean
Yup.
can't punch your way out of every situation now.
He volunteered
Yeah.
for it this time too. Yeah, give me something different. All right, and now let us let these Scions return to Relic and dream darkly until this tale returns next week. Until then, sweet nightmares. Good night.